Welcome back to another live stream. Hi, how is everyone doing? It is Thursday night and oh my goodness, there's some vehicle humming outside. I hope it's not too loud. As usual, before we start, I just want to make sure that the video feed is okay, the live stream is working fine. I'm not talking to myself. You guys can hear me, the microphone is working, there's no problems like echo or distortion or it's too loud or even if it's too soft. There was once it was actually too soft. While I'm waiting for some feedback, let me drink some coffee. Coffee first, always. Coffee is life. Thank you so much, Jerry Hikari, for the feedback. As usual, you're the first to let me know. Thanks, Vavagamuka. And let's say hi to some people first. If I haven't read your comment, don't worry. I'll always prioritize members first. If you are a member, your name will be highlighted in green and there is a star badge next to your name. But I'll go through every single chat. I never skip any chat. I do my best to go to every single chat and answer any questions. All right. So let's start. Then the guitar man says, "Hey Robin, I have a wedding coming up. I'm shooting for a family. It's an indoor wedding. Would you use Olympus 12-40 f2.8 or a Panasonic 12-60 f2.8 to f4? I have both to choose from. Thanks." Now, there are a few things I want to say here. If it's indoor, so we're dealing mostly with available light, then I'll go for 12-40 f2.8. The brighter aperture definitely wins. But make sure that this is not the only lens that you have, because if shooting a wedding, sometimes you do need to shoot from a distance. So I recommend having a lens like, say, the 75 f1.8, or if you have the 40-150, a tele lens, it'll be really useful. It doesn't have to be the 40-150 f2.8 Pro. I know that lens can be quite pricey and it's quite large to bring around. It can be the plastic cheap 40-150R f4-5.6. That lens can work wonders. You just need the reach, so make sure you have that lens as well. But between the Olympus 12-40 and Panasonic 12-60, I favor the Olympus 12-40 mainly because of the brighter aperture, constant f2.8. All right. Squadat says, "Good morning from Orlando, Florida." Hey Squadat, how are you? Gregory says, "Hey Robin, everyone. Video, audio, A-OK in Katy, Houston, Texas, USA." Hey Gregory, how are you? Nice to see you again. Hey Jeff, very, very nice to see you. Jeff says, "Hey Robin, everyone." Hey Jeff. Zoltan says, "Good evening, Robin. Hello everyone from Maryland. Let's do this." Yes, Zoltan, let's do this. And I'm gonna drink to that. I just love this coffee. Steve says, "Hello, hope everyone is staying warm. It's -6 degrees here in eastern Washington state." Oh my goodness, that's really cold. I'm guessing it's snowing out there as well. Here it's 29 degrees in my room. It's a little bit too warm. For the past few streams, weather has been quite pleasant. It has been floating between 27 and 28 degrees. Usually it's about 27 degrees. So it's been pretty cool for the past few streams. But tonight it's especially hot. It's 29. I'm expecting to sweat a little bit, so don't be surprised to see that I'm actually glowing with sweat. All right. Skoda says, "It also depends on what camera you have. The Power OIS and Leica is going to work with Panasonic camera. It doesn't matter because you need to freeze movement. Weddings is the place where you do need to deal with a little bit of action. You can't just expect people to stay still all the time. The only way to freeze motion is using high enough shutter speed. In order to do that, you need brighter aperture or you want to increase the ISO. Image stabilization doesn't really help in this situation at all. All right. Jerry Gray says, "Audio, video okay, thank you so much." Vabagamuka says, "Hey Robin, hope you had a good day." Hey Vabagamuka, thank you so much. I wish the same to you. And thanks for the update. Thank you so much, Kay. Appreciate that. Marsha says, "Robin, good morning from Boynton Beach, Florida." Hey Marsha, how are you? Very, very nice to have you here again. Seeker says, "Hey Robin, hey Seeker, how are you?" Immutable Dew says, "Thumbs up." Thumbs up to you too. Jerry says, "Hi from sunny Finland." Wow, it's sunny today. Hey, it's -7 degrees Celsius. My goodness, why is it everything everywhere. Like, it's already February. Hey, I went out and took photos. I walked on the ice of a lake. Wow, that must be fun. I've never done that in my life, walking on a frozen lake. Just keep moving and have 15 minutes. It doesn't feel cold anymore. Yeah, that's true. Hey, when you're in a cold place, you just have to keep yourself warm by keep moving, right? That's true. That's true. Yumi says, "Hi Robin, hope you are well." Hey Yumi, very nice to have you in the stream again. Nice to see you. Noto says, "It's so nice, Cap. No worries. I got this free from the distributor of OM system here in Malaysia. They are YL camera. Nice people. I got this for more than a year already, perhaps almost 2 years." Gigi Wildlife says, "Hey Robin, I wish you goodwill." Thank you so much, Gigi Wildlife. I hope you're doing fine as well. Immutable Deal says, OM-10 replacement inbound specs. Well, you guys know that I have no connection to OM Digital Solutions already, right? Since I quit being the ambassador. So I've been cut off from any communication. In fact, I've never had any communication with them. They didn't email me or contact me by any means, even when I was the ambassador. So now that I'm not the ambassador anymore, I don't expect things to get any better, right? So it's just the past. I'm just glad that Micro Four Thirds is still alive. Let's just see what they do from a distance. And hey, I'm still a supporter. So I think that's what truly matters, right? We just love what we use. Doesn't really matter if we get information or not from them. Nodo says Robin has fantastic voice, right? That's not true. Hey, if I have a fantastic voice, I could have been a singer. And trust me, you don't want to hear me sing. Boris says, "Hi Robin, good evening from Singapore. Can you fall asleep later if you are still drinking coffee?" Of course. Coffee doesn't really affect me much unless I'm not tired. So if I'm physically and mentally tired, if I've had a long day, especially today, I've been running out to a few places. I've had a shoot in the morning. I went to a camera store in the afternoon and shot a video. I rushed home and edited the video, and then I prepared for this live stream. And imagine like this live stream is going to go on for 2 to 3 hours. After that, I will be exhausted. So even if I've just drunk a cup of coffee, that wouldn't affect my sleep at all. I would still fall flat like a baby, right? Asram says, "Good afternoon from," okay, Reykjavik, Iceland, 5 degrees. Wow. So it's actually warmer in Iceland than Finland. So my friend Matti Slanto wasn't lying to me. He told me, well, Iceland shouldn't be named Iceland because it's not really that cold anyway, since Finland is always usually colder than Iceland, right? Sweden says, "Hi Robin, so nice to see you." Hey Sweden, how are you? Yes, coffee first. Me too. Do you think my questions from before start program are crazy? Which do you like? What questions? I did not see any questions. So guys, if you have typed anything in the chat like a day before, it will disappear like before the live stream. So I encourage you not to do that. I have no control whatsoever. I can't disable the chat. I can't make sure the chat stays on until now. So if you have any questions, please come in live and type it during the live stream. That's why we're having this live stream, so that we can have live conversation, right? So I can't just check everything beforehand. I'm sorry if you have typed anything, Sweden. So if you don't mind, please type it again. HB Gun says, "Hi Robin, good evening." Hey HB Gun, how are you? Nice to see you here. Original Jam Track says, "Robin brings positivity to the world." Nice one, Robin. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Stefan says, "Hi from Vienna, Austria." Wow, that's really far away. Hey Stefan, how are you? Crispy says, "Hey Robin, all the best from Munich." Hey Crispy, how are you? Fajar says, "Hi Robin, good night. What's your opinion about GH7 versus OM3? Which is better for hybrid photo and video?" I think those are two very different cameras. GH7 is designed to be a professional grade camera. It has a beefier grip. It has dual cut slots, so you can use it in a professional shooting environment, whereas the OM3 is not a flagship camera. I wouldn't use OM3 to do my professional jobs shooting for clients. I do need dual cut slots, and I do need that much better handling if I were to use larger lenses. And I do have larger lenses that I shoot with, right? So I would use GH7 for my professional shoots, but I wouldn't use the OM3. So having said that, for hybrid photo and video, if you take away the professional environment, I think both cameras are fine. But of course, Lumix or Panasonic, they have better expertise when it comes to video capabilities. So if you're emphasizing more on video, if video quality, what you want to get more out of the camera, if the features or the best possible video output you want to get from the camera, if that's important for you, then Panasonic is the answer. There's no question about that, right? But if you want a camera that looks so sexy, so cool, of course, the OM-3. No question, right? The GH7 is ugly. Come on. Azru says, "Hey Robin, even though Chinese New Year is over, didn't really manage to greet you. Gong si fat chai." Oh, thank you so much, Azru. Yeah, it's technically over, right? But here's a funny thing. I just learned from my grandmother in Kuching that Chinese New Year, at least for the people in Kuching, it lasts 20 days, not 15 days. Because usually when we celebrate the 15th night, or we call Chap Gome, which is last night, the 15th night after the first day of Chinese New Year, I thought it signifies the end of Chinese New Year celebrations, but it's not. I don't know, some people in Kuching celebrated it for 20 days. So, well, technically, if what the people in Kuching are doing is correct, then you're not late. So yeah, Kung Si Fat Chai to you too, Asru. Hung says, hopefully Pan F Mark II with weather sealing. Yeah, I know, right? A lot of people are still hoping for a Pan F Mark II. Though I think OM Solutions gave the answer that the OM-3 is their Pan F replacement in a way. So I don't expect the Pan F Mark II to appear anytime soon. Maybe in a few years, but not anytime soon. Calvin says, hi from Sebago Lake, Maine. Hey Calvin, how are you? We're going to say hi to a few more people, and I'm going to start talking about updates or what's been happening in my life. Paringa says, OM5 Mark II will be my next go-to. Yeah, I know, right? It's about time they update the OM5 for the Mark II version, right? Because the OM5, it has the micro USB, which is kind of sad. And I still think that the OM5 Mark II or the OM5 series, it makes sense because it's a lot smaller, it's a lot lighter. For those who don't really want a large and heavier OM1, they want something much smaller to handle. It may not have all the full capabilities of the OM1 or OM1 Mark II, but a little bit stripped down. I think the OM5 series is the answer. It can still do a lot of great things. Yeah, I'm curious to see what OM Solutions can come up with the next iteration of the OM5, maybe the OM5 Mark II. David says, good evening, Robin. Looking forward to hearing your views on the O3. What is an O3? Yumi says, what's next after OM3? OM System Pen Mini. Yeah, maybe Pen, I think perhaps it's wise for them to look into the entry-level side of things, the lower-level cameras, which is affordable, something accessible to the market, because everything that they've launched so far, minus the OM5, well, OM5 is sort of like a rebadged EM5 Mark III that didn't really put any effort in the camera. It's just the same body, same processor, same sensor. Everything's pretty much the same, right? Just minor updates there and here. But all the cameras that I have, like OM1, OM Mark II, and currently the OM3, they've been they are on the higher side of things when it comes to pricing, right? I'm not saying that they're overpriced. I'm just saying they are really, really not on the budget side of things. So there are also a lot of consumers who may not necessarily look for flagship level cameras, or they don't want to spend like $2,000 for a new camera. So maybe something like $1,000 or less, something entry level or mid level, the Pan series or the OM10, that will be amazing, right? Yeah, I agree with you, Yumi. Charles says, hello from Orlando, Florida. Hey Charles, how are you? Is OM Systems still doing firmware updates for older cameras? On their website, they are promising firmware updates, like what? Regular and robust updates, right? Those are their words. I don't know where the promise is going. I do hope that they keep their promise. Hey, yeah. Kevin says, snowing in Maine. Oh my goodness, it's snowing in a lot of places in the US. Hey. Boris says, I think it is interesting that OM has spent so much money to sell OM1, but their best sellers are Pan and EM10 in Japan at least. I suppose they will continue EP line and EM10 line as budget cameras. Here's the thing. Out of, let's say, 1,000 people, maybe less than 100 people will buy the flagship level, the most expensive camera, maybe 80, 70 people. The rest of the people will go for the cheapest possible camera. Let's face it, for a lot of people, photography is just a hobby. Why want to spend like so much money on it? And for poorer income countries, like low income countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, like it will take someone to save up for more than 1 year to buy an OM1, and that is if the person manages to save. And the price of an OM1 Mark II, or let's bring it to OM3, $2,000 for the price of the OM3, $2,000. That's like 9,000 ringgit, right? That's possibly someone's salary for half a year. I'm not kidding. Half year salary for, and we are not even talking about savings. It's just someone's half year salary for people here. So can you imagine, like, how is anyone going to afford? Especially most of the people here, they're not earning on the high level. You know, they don't have that much salary, right? So there's a problem here, right? Yes, of course, people in the US, people in the UK, high income countries, you can just swipe your credit card, buy whatever you want without thinking. But hey, the rest of us here, we are a little bit left behind. Like, come on, don't just sell this crazy expensive camera. Something around, I don't know, $799, $899 US dollars. That would have been a little bit more manageable, you know, like for people who can't really afford all these crazy expensive cameras. All right, I'm gonna put a pause here, and I'm gonna start talking a little bit on my life updates. So last Monday, I've published a new video as usual. Every Monday, new videos. It was a comparison between the OG OMD cameras, the first generation Olympus OMD cameras. So we had the EM1, EM5, and EM10. Of course, the correct order would be the EM5, which was launched first in the year 2012, and then the EM1 in 2013, and an EM10 in 2014. So I think these three cameras are amazing. They are definitely game changers, and they showed the world and the industry how to create truly capable and professional grade mirrorless cameras, which means very fast autofocus, robust construction, metal construction, with weather sealing, with amazing features like 5-axis image stabilization, and even really, really capable imaging performance, like the 16 megapixel sensors in those cameras at that time that can rival even the best APS-C DSLRs or even mirrorless cameras is no slouch. So Olympus paved the way to the mirrorless revolution. A lot of other cameras and manufacturers, they actually copy the DNA from these first generation OMD cameras. So I thought it would be nice to take a look at these first generation cameras. And I've been asked so many times, Robin, is EM1 better than EM5? Robin, I want to choose between EM5 and EM10. They're both about the same price in the used market. Which one should I buy? A lot of people also ask, well, should I get the EM10 over EM1? You know, I think like maybe the EM10 is smaller, it's more suitable for me. So there are pros and cons to each camera. I think they are very similar in a lot of ways, but there are also some key differences that you have to be aware of. So I explore all these things in my latest video, which was published on Monday. So please check out the video if you have not done so. Now, here is something interesting I want to talk about. Earlier today, I had a shoot in the morning, so I rushed home. After I finished the shoot, I quickly showered because it was quite intense. I was drenched in sweat. And then I went over to N4 Artist Shutter in Geospace, Petaling Jaya. I know these words mean nothing to you if you're not in Malaysia or Kuala Lumpur at least. And I went to see this touch and try. So currently, if you are in Kuala Lumpur or Malaysia, the OM-3 touch and try is happening now all over Malaysia. So I think it's going to happen until the end of the month at various locations. So check out your favorite camera stores. You can find the OM-3 sitting in the store waiting for you to molest. My advice is that you go there, try it yourself. All right, so here's the full timetable released by OM System Malaysia. And for today, it was at Artist Shutter and for Camera Store. And I've gone there. So if you're interested to try the OM-3 camera, if you want to find out for yourself how it feels in your hands, if you want to see in person how sexy and gorgeous the camera is, please do go and visit the camera stores all over Malaysia. So here's the timetable at various locations at different dates. Please do check it out. Now, of course, I went there this afternoon to check out the OM-3. And thankfully, there were not too many people around. I managed to film my video as well. So I played with the camera for about half an hour, going around the place, taking some photos, shoot some videos, just for the fun of it, and see how the camera handles in my hands, how it feels like, if there's any problems at all. I want to see the experience of the viewfinder, using the low resolution viewfinder in the year 2025, and see if there's any problems with the camera at all, see what's the changes in the menu, the buttons, the layout, if I have any issue whatsoever. Just a quick impression, because I don't have enough enough time to test the camera thoroughly. Like I don't have 2 weeks, for example, to bring the camera out for multiple different shooting scenarios to really test the camera thoroughly. It was just a quick hands-on, so I can't make a review, but what I can make is a quick impressions video, and I have made the video this afternoon. I haven't edited the video yet, that's a screen grab from my camera, but I intend to publish this video on Monday. This coming Monday. So check out my new video on this coming Monday. This will be the OM-3 first impressions from me. I'll share my impressions, what I like and dislike about this OM-3, having used it for a very short duration of time. It's not a full review. I know there are so many full reviews already out there from ambassadors, from random YouTubers, some YouTubers with few hundred subscribers. They even have the camera for weeks. Full review, I don't know what. Well, I'm not going to complain. But here's the thing, right? I find it very strange. Like, my friend Matti Sulanto from Finland, he actually requested a unit from OM System to review, and he was turned down. I was like, Matti Sulanto, such a prominent photographer and a very important figure in the world of Micro Four Thirds, right? And he's also a huge supporter of Olympus, and they turned him down. He's quite a huge following on YouTube as well. I do see him as a professional photographer, someone that I do trust, and I do love watching Matti Sulanto's reviews, and I trust what he has to say. And to turn him down and give the OM-3 to other random YouTubers with 2,000 subscribers or less than 1,000 subscribers and let them review the camera, I thought that was quite a poor decision from OM Digital Solutions. Who knows how they select people they want to review? Maybe they go through the people they want to review and just make sure that the YouTuber or the influencer or the content creator or the photographer will only say nice things. Don't you think it's weird that all the content that's available online, besides Petapixels and DP Review, like there's a few, right? They're actually quite honest. Like Petapixel is quite balanced, and DP Review is also very honest in what they have to say about the OM-3 and the full review. I find that there's pros and cons, so it's pretty much believable. But other than that, everyone else is like just 100% positive. It's like this huge hype, this is the best camera ever. I'm like, that's very, very suspicious. Anyways, enough rant. I'm not gonna get one to review. I think I can if I request for one, but I'm not gonna do it, mainly because they don't bother to contact me like, hey, I'm still here. I still talk about OM System camera, like I'm still doing live streams on OM System, and I'm still one of the largest supporters of Micro Four Thirds, but nobody bothered to contact me, so why bother making a review, right? Like, seriously. But anyways, my first impression video is coming out on Monday, so please check it out. Now, this is also a good time to remind you guys that I have membership enabled. So if you want to check out that video a little bit earlier, you can join as a member, and with just the price of a cup of coffee, you get some perks. So the first perk is that you get to see my videos 24 hours before it's being published, and you can get early access, right? Which is pretty cool. So you can watch that OM-3 first impression video on Sunday instead of Monday if you're a member. And of course, we have members only live streams. This month's member only live stream will be next week, so do check it out. And it's a private live stream where you can interact with me a lot more. I don't have to go through so many chats from the public. And of course, if you are a member, I will prioritize my replies to your comments first, whether it's in my older videos or newer videos, or even chats on these live streams. I will definitely find you and I'll respond to you first before everyone else. I have older videos that I've taken down. These videos were not performing very well, and I don't want this to affect the algorithm from my newer videos. I want YouTube to continue to push my new videos to a wider audience. So these videos include tips and tricks on composition. They also include black and white photography, how to get sharp images shooting macro, all those. I've shared in these videos, but they were not doing well, so I took them down. If you want full access to these videos, you can join as a member, right? There are other ways to support me besides joining as a member. Let me just put this out. You can buy me a cup of coffee by using this link, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal, or you can buy from my affiliate links from Amazon and B&H. All links in description below. So any support and contribution will go a long way. It will definitely encourage me to do more. And as you know, some of this content, they do require some resources, and I use my own funds to make my videos. So if you contribute to me, it will enable me to make more videos, and I'll share them with you guys. All right, let's get back to the chat. But before that, let me drink some coffee. I see that my friend Van is here. Hey Van, how are you? Van has been a channel member for 10 months, and he he has just renewed his membership. Thank you so much, Van. I appreciate that. Hey, Van, we are seeing each other this weekend, right? So I'm gonna catch up with Van very, very soon. Van is also a fellow friend and photographer, a very, very talented photographer. I have a lot of my recent profile photographs taken by Van, so he's a very, very talented portrait photographer as well. All right, let me go to the members chat first, and may I remind everyone that I will go to members chat first, and for everyone else, please be a little bit patient. I'll go through every single chat after that. All right. Okay. Gregory says, weird but predictable. Which one is predictable? I think you are referring to or replying to some of the comments of the chats. Yes, thank you so much, Gregory. I appreciate that you like the members only videos. Hey, the one that I've taken down. Daniel says, hi from Switzerland. Hey Daniel, how are you? Nice to see you here. Gordon says, hey Robin, perfect hat for today's session. I guess next camera trying to find your next OM-5 Mark II. Yeah, that camera is due for an update. Hey, and that micro USB has to go, right? And maybe some new internals, a bump of performance, maybe closer to what the OM-1 or OM-2 can do. Craig says, good morning from Vancouver, Canada. Hey Craig, how are you? Good evening to myself. Student says, I didn't know they were disappearing at start. I will make question during this coffee time. No worries, no worries. I appreciate that. David says, okay, what do you think about the Viewfinder, and if it isn't a professional camera or the flagship, why is it so expensive? The Viewfinder is not just an LCD panel. It's not just like a TV screen that you look through it. Behind the Viewfinder, there is an elaborative design of lenses. I don't have a camera next to me, but if you can see the size of the Viewfinder, there is a huge chunk of lenses. And these lenses can consist of like 7 and 8 elements to make the view look like it's very bright, it's huge, because you do have a lot of magnification, right? Especially for Micro Four Thirds, the sensor size is so small, so the Viewfinder needs even more magnification to make it look larger compared to, say, the full frame camera, because the sensor is already so large, so the Viewfinder doesn't have to have that much magnification. So to magnify it, you do need all these optics, and to make sure like there's no corner softness, there's no distortion, there's no vignetting, there's no all kinds of optics problem. They do need to put in really high quality glass behind the LCD screen to create the Viewfinder. So the short answer is it's the lenses that drives the cost up for the electronic Viewfinder. As Ram says, do you think the OM-5 will be the replacement of both the EM5 and EM10 line to avoid the development cost of keeping both lines of camera? Not really. I think the OM-5 is still on the higher price side of things. How much was it? Was it 1,500 when it was launched? OM-5? That's really expensive. Price at launch. Let me just make sure I didn't get this wrong. Oh, 1,200. That's not too bad. Okay. But we need something below $1,000, say $700, $800 for the entry level, which is more accessible for everyone. And I think OM-10 will be the perfect solution for it. If OM Digital Solutions want to keep everything OM, OM-1, OM-3, OM-5, OM-10, it makes sense, right? Rather than jumping to a new line, just keep everything more streamlined and more consistent. Okay, let's see. Let's see if there's members chat. We have a few. Squared says, I just traded in my Pentax K7 for a K5. I switched between a K5, Panasonic G100 as my everyday carry. It's hard to deny the image quality of the G100 is superior, but the K5 is so much easier to hold in my hands. Yeah, the G100, I think, is a disaster of a camera. I know a lot of YouTubers, a lot of photographers, content creators, I'm not going to say who, they are raving about the camera. I just don't see it. I think it's a disaster in terms of what it's meant to be, what it's lacking, and it's also handling. I think it's a very poorly made camera, as you have evidently mentioned, right? Gregory says, OM system wanting cheerleaders to review the OM-3 is predictable. But that poses a problem, right? Like, if you keep doing this, the audience is not stupid. people watching the videos, yes, they will believe it first time, second time, but if you keep doing the same thing again and again, people will get smarter and people will know, they can smell the crap out of whatever they're trying to sell them, right? So if you just engage people to say nice things without giving a balanced review, people can filter out all this nonsense sooner or later. Come on, right? I mean, we are not that shallow, right? Rippy says, hi Robin, hey Rippy, how are you? Nice to see you. We should catch up soon, Rippy, do some street photography one of these weekends. Scott says, I love Micro Four Thirds lenses. I love how small they are. That's true, that's true. I love the tiny size of these lenses as well. Boris says, Robin, I would like also to ask a question about Olympus. Do you feel Olympus raw documents have lower image quality when processed in Lightroom? I don't use Lightroom. I don't really care about Lightroom. I tried it years ago. I don't really like the way it manages things. It's just very slow. I know that things could have been different now. Maybe it's a lot faster today, but I'm talking about 10 years ago. Lightroom was very, very slow. Every single click, every drag of a slider will take like half a second to refresh. It's very frustrating. So I switched over to Capture One, which is a lot more efficient. Everything is instant. The previewing is instant. So it improves my workflow a lot more efficiently, right? So I can complete my editing, say, in 2 hours instead of 5 hours or 10 hours using Lightroom. So that's very important to me. And Capture One, I'm not paid by Capture One to say this, but I feel that it optimizes the raw files for Olympus better than Lightroom. That's all I can say. I haven't tried the latest Lightroom, so I don't know how they handle Olympus raw files. I don't know if it's doing a good thing, but my friend Dimatis seems to think that it does a fantastic job. Even Peter Forsgard uses Lightroom and he says it's fantastic. So who am I to say that they are wrong, right? Because I don't use Lightroom, so I can't challenge them. So yeah, I just have to trust them because both Matis Lanto and Peter Forsgard, they are really successful photographers, right? Like, why should I not trust them? Street Trip says, Robin, you are fantastic. Love your show. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. Chris says, sad day today in Munich. An asylum seeker drove into a demonstration with a car. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Very, very sorry to hear that. Well, I think sad things do happen, right? We just have to be careful, I guess, if we are in these situations or if we are just reading the news. We just have to like manage our emotions or, you know, don't let it affect us too much, right? Or learn from it if we can. Stefan says, so the next camera is the OM-1R with around 30 megapixels. Okay, a bummy resolution, right? Yeah, 30. Make it 40. I don't know, I'm greedy. Yeah, I know, I don't really need 40 megapixel camera. 30, I think 30 is a good improvement. That's like 50% more pixels than what we have now. Definitely we can do a lot more. We can crop a little bit more and still maintain the 20 megapixel resolution that we have now. Jerry Curry says, next make Pen Mini 3 with drone. Pen Mini 3? I can get behind that, but drone, really? I don't think OM systems, they have the expertise or the capabilities to run a drone business, right? It's pretty much dominated by DJI, and to fight that giant, I don't think they're going to win. It's just a suicide mission. Rippy says, they should come up with an OMG as a new basic low-cost model below OM-10. OMG was an actual film camera by Olympus. Ah, okay. That's not a bad idea, hey. OMG for a camera brand, I mean, camera name. That's quite interesting. And the fact that they already have an OMG in the past, just bring it back to a digital era, why not? Drawing inspiration from the past, that's what they've been doing, even for the Pan F and OM-3, right? Yeah. This Trip says, I heard Pan F design was not able to be weather sealed. Might be why OM went with new design. That's not true. They can weather seal anything. That's not correct because I work for Olympus. So, and Pan F was launched when I was working for Olympus. Vabagamoka says, Kung Hi Huat Sai? Wow, what language is that? Kyung Hi Huat Sai. If there's still Chinese celebration at somewhere, well, technically, it ended last night, the 15th night. But my grandmother in Kuching says it lasts for 20 days. That's when the old folks back in the day, they celebrate Chinese New Year for 20 days. So I don't know. HB Gun says, join several of your street photography outings years ago. Okay. Wow. That's some blast from the past. Truly enjoyable and have learned a lot. Discovered many good photo spots too. Just curious, do you still host any outings? I am not associated to any camera brands at the moment. Last time I think one of those outings was organized by Olympus Malaysia, either when I was working for them officially as a product specialist, or after I've quit. I was the Olympus visionary, so I was still conducting workshops or run classes for Olympus. There was on almost a weekly basis. It was quite fun, right? I get to meet people, and we go out and we don't do much but just play with our cameras and try to get nice photographs around some locations in Kuala Lumpur. And I'm glad that you joined HB, and I'm glad that you have enjoyed yourself. But now that Olympus is gone, so technically it's not Olympus anymore, and Malaysia doesn't really have an official representative of OM Digital Solutions, the Olympus brand and OM system is carried by YL Camera, the distributor, so it's not really the same anymore. But they do have like an OM system academy, so they still run some classes for existing Olympus and OM system customers. So you might want to check out OM Systems Malaysia's website or Facebook page. They may have some activities going on. You might want to check with them, see if you can join any of them. But from my side of things, most of the time I go out shooting alone because I have to make sure I have enough images to make my videos, which I publish every week. And I do allocate some time to go out and shoot with some friends in the weekend, like Raja and Putra, who's in the chat now, like Van, Ligutom, going out with them, doing some projects, or just hang out together and do some photography outings. But I don't host large outings anymore. I think those days are behind me. I don't think I want to do that anymore these days. Things have changed. I've gotten a lot busier. I have a lot of jobs coming in. So in between juggling in between like my photography shoots and making videos for this YouTube channel, it's become quite challenging for me to do anything else. But I'm not saying I won't do it at all, but who knows? If there's something happening, well, I'll definitely announce it here, right? So just follow me on Facebook or Instagram or here on this YouTube. I'll definitely announce whenever there's something happening. So thank you so much for the support, HB. Appreciate that. Okay, I'll go to a few more chats, maybe one more. Then we'll talk a bit about the topic before we roll off to everyone's opinion. Original Jump Track says, OM Fire Mark 2, if they include USB-C and update the menu to the new version, I would find it a bit more tempting camera than the OM-3, primarily due to a smaller size and a nicer look. Yeah, I know, right? Especially the size. When I held the OM-3 today, I was like, wow, this is bigger than it looked in the photographs. If it felt bigger, right? Or maybe my hands are just too small. I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you on the size. The OM5 would have been a better size. I agree. Okay. Now, today's topic is fairly straightforward. Nothing too fancy. It's just OM system launched several products last week. One camera and 3 lenses. The camera is this OM-3. And we have 3 lenses. Two of them were the updated versions of their existing line of prime lenses, the 25 f1.8 and 17 f1.8. The biggest upgrade would be the weather sealing. So these lenses are dust and splash proof. And they also updated the 100 to 400, upgrading from the 2-axis image stabilization in the camera to having 5-axis sync IS if you pair the lens on compatible Olympus cameras or OM system cameras. And that's it, right? So we have an updated 100 to 400 with 5-axis sync IS, which I think is a huge upgrade for those who really use the lens on the longer end, 400mm, or you want to add on teleconverters. And the prime lenses, those are a huge welcome, 17 and 25 with weather sealing. So I do expect OM system to come up with more weather sealed prime lenses. I don't know when this will happen. Maybe not in this year, maybe in the following year, but we're only in February, right? So there's still a lot of room for things to happen for OM system. And I do hope that they release these lenses sooner than later, because 17 and 25, that's not enough. Their lenses are excellent. We have the amazing 12 f2. That lens deserves weather sealing. We also have the fantastic 45 f1.8. I tell you, if the 45 f1.8 they come up with the Mark II version that's weather sealed today, I will buy it immediately. No questions asked, because that is my most used lens over the years. That's my bread and butter lens. I use that lens to shoot for my professional jobs. My clients are always very happy with the shots coming out from that lens. If that lens is weather sealed, it's a bonus. I can shoot it under rain, What a fantastic thing for me, right? So yeah, if the 45 f1.8, I wish it's weather sealed. 75 f1.8 as well. That lens is magic. I've said this many times. I even made a video to talk about how the Olympus 75 f1.8 prevented me from going full frame. Just that lens alone was enough reason for me to stay on the Micro Four Thirds cam. That lens is just simply incredible. The sharpness, the bokeh, and such a long reach, 150mm equivalent at such a compact size, 75, and the build quality is excellent. It's made of metal construction. So if they can weather seal that lens, believe me, I will buy that lens as well. And it will definitely keep me in the Micro Four Thirds cam, because I gotta say, lately there have been some temptations. I'm not gonna say which cam or whatever, but yeah, the other cam seems to be quite tempting. Why not? Like, the full frame mirrorless cameras are cheaper than the OM-3. I'm not kidding. In Malaysia, the Nikon ZF is lower in price than the OM-3. I'm not saying that I will buy the ZF, no. I've already said I'm not a fan of retro design camera. If I were to get a camera, it would have been DSLR-like, have a proper grip, dual card slots, you know, it handles really well. You know, something that looks like EM1 series camera. So from Nikon, it would be like Z6, Z5, or Sony, maybe the A7 series, A7 Mark IV. And believe me, A7 Mark IV is about 20% lower in price when it's in discount compared to the OM-3. I know those are different cameras, Robin, you shouldn't compare, those are full frame, blah, blah, blah. The camera is 2-3 years old, OM-3 is just, blah, blah, blah. I know the OM-3 price will come down, yes. But you gotta admit, it's very, very tempting. And the few lenses that stop me from jumping or switching over fully to full frame is the 45 f1.8 and 75 f1.8. So it's very important for OM system to have these lenses upgraded, or at least have weather sealing sooner than later, right? So this is what I expect. Now, in terms of camera, instead of just releasing cameras that is $2,000, more than $2,000, it's time for them to look at cameras that is a little bit on the lower pricing side of things. Come on, entry-level cameras. Look at what Fuji is doing with the XM5. Look at what Nikon is doing with the Z52. I know these are not exactly entry-level or budget cameras because the pricing is more on the mid-tier. We need cameras to fight this, because these are the cameras that will target the wider audience. These are the camera that is more accessible and more affordable for the general crowd. Don't you want more people to come into the Micro Four Thirds cam? Don't you want more people to adopt Micro Four Thirds system? Buy the camera first, upgrade to higher level camera like OM1, OM1 Mark II later. Buy the camera first now, and then start collecting lenses and lock them into the system and experience how amazing OM system and Olympus lenses are. Because like myself, it's not just the camera, it's the lenses that make me stay and make me love the system so much, right? So in order for them to enjoy the lenses, they need a camera. If your cameras are all so expensive, I don't think people can afford it. Like, seriously, like, I can't afford it. I've already said this in my previous video why I didn't want to buy an OM1, and then someone gave me the OM1, which I was very thankful, and I gave my EM1 Mark III away. That's a long story I'm not going to get into. But the fact is, we need entry-level or lower budget camera out there for Micro Four Thirds, and OM system, they have to look into this now. They already have the OM1, OM5, OM3. I think the next logical step will be OM10. Make it about $1,000 US. If you can bring it down, why not? EM10, when it was launched, was $699. If I remember correctly, about $700 US. So make it $800, $900 US now. I think they can price it just below the $1,000 mark. It would be really amazing, right? I think that's the missing thing. We do know another product is coming though, based on the new greeting from the CEO of the OM Digital Solutions earlier this year on the website, the official message, right? We do know that a long lens is coming, maybe a 50 to 200. F2.8, F4, I don't know what the F number is, I'm just throwing numbers. We do know that a high grade, maybe weather sealed, not even sure if it's a pro grade, a lens is coming, the telephoto zoom lens, so that's later in the year, so we'll keep an eye on that. But other than that, we do need more products. I think a weather sealed 45 makes sense. I think an OM-10 makes sense. What do you guys think? These are just my opinions. So there are two things that we can talk about. One is what you think will happen, predictions. And two, what do you want to see happen from the OM Systems camp? Well, let me know in the chat. I will drink some coffee and I'll get back to the chat, right? All right. Okay, let's see if we have members chat first. Gregory says, photo walks with a horde of followers might not be the same. No, I did not have photo walks with followers, right? So previously I worked for Olympus, so I organized outings or events, and I don't even have YouTube channel. This was in the year 2013 to 2017 when I worked for Olympus, and then I still actively was involved with them until the year 2019 as an Olympus visionary. And those were pre-YouTube days, those were pre-pandemic days, right? Before COVID-19. And during my earlier years, we do have a lot of outings, photo walks, and these are existing consumers of Olympus. If you buy an Olympus camera, you can come and join our outing where we share the basics of using Olympus cameras, and we also show what other lenses that we have, and we brought these lenses out for everyone to try. So yeah, those, for example, if we go for a macro outing, we'll bring like the macro lenses, Olympus 60 f2.8 and the 30 f2.8 lenses. No, 33.5, sorry. To be fair, I have left them a long time ago, so some numbers I get confused in my head. So 60 f2.8 macro and 30 f3.5 macro for them to try if they don't already have a macro lens. Gregory says, the OM-3 has the styling of the film OM-1 or 2, but looks chunkier and bulkier. I would like to hold one and be wrong. The original OMs were svelte. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Shows how bad my pronunciation is, right? Elegant cameras. Yeah. Definitely. I was surprised by how big it is, the OM-3. I thought it would be like 20% smaller, but I don't know. Maybe I just have very small hands. Jeffrey says, greetings! I will enjoy your first impressions video of the OM-3. My first SLR was 1974 OM-1N while in college. Every camera I've used has been capable of making good photos. EM5, EM-2 are still great. The wind is blowing, so just to make sure that this light box doesn't jump out. What if it does? We'll just deal with it later. We have a few more members chat. Jeffrey says, for a creative's focus body, I was surprised OM-3 doesn't allow a cable intervalometer. I know not many use this, but I have always appreciated a programmable intervalometer. I think you can use it by connecting the camera to your smartphone using the OI Share app. And from the app, it does have the electronic or digitally controlled intervalometer. All right. Gregory says diffraction limit at visible. Okay, you guys are talking to each other, right? Diffraction limit. Okay. Thorsten says, hi Robin, I think OM system needs money, so they need to be high priced. Well, if nobody buys your camera, you don't get money, right? If you make your camera lower priced, more people buy your camera, then you get money, right? If you look at the top selling cameras in the BCN ranking, which is published every month, it has been EP7 and EM10 or EPL7 sometimes. So it's never about OM1, it's never OM5, it's always EP7, EM10. So yeah. Chris says, hello Robin and all. Hey Chris, how are you? Chili and Dal here in the Isle of Wight, UK. Nice of you dropping by. Gregory says, diffraction limit is visible at 200 nanometers, 20 megapixel size. Yeah. There's still plenty of room, of course. Jeffrey says, for a budget camera for an aspiring photographer, I tend to recommend a pre-owned camera from KH or MPB with 6 months warranty. EM2 excellent, affordable. If they don't like it, resell it. Yes, I think EM2 is still excellent. I still use the camera today. It's my main camera, my workhorse, right? My professional camera. And my clients don't complain. They still come back to me, right? You got svelte. Svelte. Thorsten says the OM-3 didn't fit in the wildlife strategy. I think they want to make money with the retro hype, so they look all ingredients they already have from the OM-1. Of course, the OM-3 doesn't fit the wildlife strategy. It's not a camera designed to handle a 100 to 400 lens or a 300 f4 Pro lens, right? It's a camera that you use to handle small prime lenses. I think it's a camera that is targeting street photographers, which is Definitely. So I got it right. Okay. Okay, let's get to the non-members chat. Hey Brana, how are you? Nice to see you here. This side to our screen says, my system needs to make a pocketable point and shoot, small retro style, with a non-exchangeable lens, fixed for zoom, EV, and tilt screen at $500. I agree. There's a huge demand for compact cameras these days, small cameras, even like Ricoh GR3, right? I know that the pricing is on a different side of things, but there is a huge demand for small cameras that's pocketable. If they can make one, I think it can definitely sell very, very well. Gordon says, by the way, looking forward to your team up with Rob Trett and crew. Oh yeah, we are going to have something this coming Sunday, right? No, not this coming Sunday. Sorry, next Sunday on the 23rd of February. So not this coming, but next Sunday. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Dave says, hi Robin. As a Z5 user, what do you think about using Micro Four Thirds lenses on Z5 for 4K video mode? In this mode, Z5 has a crop factor that is close to Micro Four Thirds. But I don't like the fact that it's cropped. That's the reason why I don't use Z5 for 4K. Because it's already cropped, you're losing a lot of pixel integrity. The overall look of the 4K video is just worse than using a Micro Four Thirds camera if you compare side by side. So shooting Micro Four Thirds sensor at full width, right? I'm not gonna say full frame to confuse people, but technically it's full frame, but it's full width. Shooting full width on Micro Four Thirds, you get much superior 4K output compared to what you get from the cropped 4K output on the Z5. So I never bothered with shooting Z5 using it for video. Explosive Monkey says, hi Robin, where do you usually go for street photography in Malaysia? I used to live there as a student a few years ago, but never went anywhere but downtown. My favorite places are Chowkit. There is a wet market, but I just shoot around the area, sometimes inside the market, but I don't really like the market itself. I just like the surrounding streets and the environment around the market. I also love shooting Pudu. If I want to just dive right into the market, Pudu is the place. A lot of action there, a lot of people doing things, a lot of smiling faces. People are generally very friendly there. I got a lot of nice portraits there. Also, the streets surrounding the Pudu, there are a lot of old shops that look very retro, very classic. Really, really nice location to shoot as well. I also like to shoot at Brickfields, KL Central area and the Brickfields. Amazing location, a lot of colors and a lot of modern structures as well. Very nice buildings, glass, steel. And then I also shoot at Bukit Bintang area, Jalan Alor and Bukit Bintang, Imbi. Between Pudu and Bukit Bintang, there is like this interconnected streets. Well, technically it's Imbi, and just love the area there. My least favorite locations are Petaling Street. I just don't like Petaling Street at all. I think there are too many tourists there. It's a tourist trap, and there are too many street photographers there, and they basically shoot the same things there every week. So I don't really like Petaling Street. But other than that, yeah, if you want to visit Chowkit, Pudu, you can't go wrong with these places, right? Yeah. Let's see if any members comment. We have a few. Gregory says, the OM-3 does not fit my wallet. Definitely doesn't fit mine. DW says, OM-3 price cannot attract non-Micro Four Thirds users, only those considering OM-2, so not a smart move. Yeah, I don't really know what they're trying to do, but to say that it's overpriced is also not correct, because look at Fuji X100 Mark VI. When it's done correctly, even it was priced almost the same as the OM-3, and you can't even change lens with that camera. And the lens on it is such a lousy lens, right? Very soft, poor contrast. People still buy the camera. It's sold everywhere. It got like 1 million pre-orders. So yeah, just because the price is high doesn't mean people won't buy it. There are a lot of rich people everywhere. Gregory says, the Olympus Stylus clamshell pocketable film camera was revolutionary in its day. Yeah, bring that back, right? Olympus Stylus, why not? That would be really awesome. And put in like 1-inch sensor in it. Make it really small with 1-inch sensor, fixed lens. Maybe a 35mm equivalent. Why not? Mike Cruz says, the OM-3 is very close size to OM-1 film camera. Rob Trett compared them with digital caliper. I saw his comparison. It's much bigger than OM-1. I think we are seeing very, very different things. It's so much taller and thicker. OM-3 is a bit tall. Not a bit, it's a lot. Micro Four Thirds lens is smaller than the 35mm lens, so OM-3 looks big. Not the lens, just tell the lens, right? The camera is huge. Yeah. So, yeah. And let's face it, right? OM-1 the film camera, it houses a 35 millimeters film, 35, and the OM-3 digital camera that's just launched, it houses a micro four thirds size sensor, which is a quarter of the size or surface area compared to the 35 millimeters film. So having just a quarter of the size of the film, and yet the camera is larger than the OM-1, that doesn't make sense, right? I would expect it to be maybe slightly smaller or about the same size as the OM-1. Smaller. I still want it to be smaller. Yeah. We are a little bit behind on the chat. Gigi Wallaf says, for everyday carry, I love my EPL9 and EM10 Mark II with 1442 and 75-300 plastic fantastics and did great videos, I remember, on these lenses. Yeah, those are fantastic lenses. I've made a few videos on the 1442 and 75-300. Amazing. Steve says, hi Robin, sorry I'm late. Hey Steve, you don't have to apologize. I'm very grateful that you are here. Thanks for joining the stream. Steve says, Japanese companies can be very out of touch with foreign marketing. That's true. They have certain ways of doing things, right? And they just follow their tradition or being very conservative. Wayne says, I pre-ordered an OM-3 and the new 17. Amazing. I think you're going to get it by the end of the month, right? Exciting times ahead. Student says, idea for future OM cameras. I hope next cameras are OM10. Yes, I hope it is too. I've just mentioned that I want an OM10. And a really basic entry OM50. Wow, same core, different style and price. Customer can buy upgrade packages for more functions when skill expand. Upgrade packages, okay, meaning software. So you are purposely nerfing the camera's software by locking certain features. Is that what you're saying? BRP says, hi Robin, I already tried the camera recently at YL, have my own first impression as well. Brought some of my Olympus lenses to try it out. Okay, I would think that the image quality and the autofocus performance is the same as the OM-1, OM-1 Mark II anyway. They're using the same internals, right? You wouldn't expect much difference either way. So yeah, no surprises there, honestly. Zotan says, exactly OM-1's positive reviews. I know, right? It's not wrong, but if everything is just positive, something is not right somewhere, right? Of course, you want to work with people who support you, people who are a fan of OM digital solutions. Of course, you want to keep them going as well, but you also need to target photographers who are already established, because I believe the opinion matters as well. Student says, idea number 2, all new OM pan cameras will have 3 USB ports for mic, headset, and display power. Sweden, my laptop only has 1 USB port. And you want my camera to have 3? I think that's a little bit too much, right? I'm not going to turn the camera into a computer, right? My laptop only has one USB port. Prosty says, this sound like useful videos. Yeah. Ayman says, Aman Bobin. Hey Aman, how are you? Nice to see you here. Thanks for dropping by. Mila says, show me the recipes. What recipes? What recipes? Chris says, I had $2,000, which I don't. If I had, which camera should I get? OM-3 or OM-1? Technically, there is hardly any difference, so it's about the look. Not really. There are some very important differences. OM-1 has dual cut slots. The OM-3 only has single cut slots. So if you are a working professional like myself, the dual cut slots, that's very important, because sometimes I need redundancy just to be safe. You don't know the SD card, because I'm shooting almost every day now. Through a long duration of time, after 6 months, 1 month, if I keep using the same SD card, it will fail. Any SD cards, there's a chance of failure. So having 2 SD cards in the camera is very important to me for redundancy, or I can shoot 1 SD card for RAW and 1 for JPEG. Some clients, they need immediate delivery. Now, SD cards aside, the OM-1's electronic viewfinder is much better than the OM-3. It's 5.76 million dots, whereas the OM-3 only has 2.36 million dots. So that's more than double the resolution. It does seem very, very different if you look through the viewfinder. So if you shoot through the viewfinder a lot, the OM-1's viewfinder will definitely make a huge difference in terms of shooting experience compared to the OM-3. Not to mention, depends on the lenses that you use. If you are a professional photographer, or if you're a photographer that handles long and large lenses. For example, if you're a wildlife photographer, you have 300 f4 Pro or 150 to 600 lens, right? These are huge lenses, and you'll definitely handle better. Just want to make sure this doesn't fall off. You definitely want to use those lenses on the OM1 instead of the OM3, because OM1 has a larger gripping area, which is definitely better in terms of handling, in terms of how you want to balance the lens, in terms of how comfortable it is using this combination of larger and heavier lenses on the camera. OM1 is definitely better than the OM3. Now, this may not seem like big things, it may not seem like deal breakers, but to me it is, because handling and comfort of using the camera is something that you cannot change. Once you buy the camera, you're stuck with it. So handling is something very, very important. So I do encourage you to try the OM-3 if you are in Malaysia, but I think you're not, because you're saying $2,000, right? Like, wherever you are, there will be touch and try sessions where the retail shops have the OM-3 camera or the samples. You can just walk in and try the camera, put it in your hand and see how it feels. So maybe you can ask for OM1 and OM-3 and try it in your hands and see how it fits your hands and see how happy you are with these cameras, right? And look through the viewfinder and you'll see that it's very, very, very different. No, it's a lot more different than that. Like I said, the OM1 is for professional use. OM3, I wouldn't use it for birding, for example, or I wouldn't use it to shoot for a client's job, for example. So yeah, let's see if we have members chat. We have a few. I'll go through the members chat and then I'll share my photographs for this week. Chris says, what's next? Whether selling facelifting the older f1.8 to 12 and 75. I hope for a new telezoom 50-200 f2.8. The 50-200 is coming later in this year. It's already in the roadmap and it's already announced by the greetings of the CEO earlier this year, right? 12 to 75, why not 45? 45 is very important to me. But yes, 75 as well. Jeffrey says, Rob tried put his calipers to the original film camera OM3 and dimensions are within 2 to 5mm height and width, but 7mm thickness. Film body noticeably heavier, of course. And to think that the OM3 is bigger than OM1 is uncomputable to me. Because, like I said, the film size is 35. Whereas the Micro Four Thirds sensor is just a quarter of the size compared to the film 35mm size, right? You have such a small sensor, but why is the camera bigger? It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. DW says, smaller, cheaper, make more sense. Not everyone need a near OM1 capability camera. OM3 is a good camera, but wrong market strategy. I wouldn't say it's wrong. I just hope there's something else, right? If this is the only camera that they released this year, then it is a wrong market strategy. But maybe they have like an OM-10, for example, coming out later in the year, which is more budget-friendly and accessible for everyone. They will be amazing, right? So it's fine having something at the higher price side of things, but also have something that is more accessible to everyone. So yeah, we'll see. It's too early to tell. It's only February, so give them a chance, right? Tomato says, good evening, Robin and all. It must be a bigger than the OM1 SLR because it has to fit the sensor thickness in electronics, whereas film is at the back of the camera is already thin. That makes no sense. Then how do you... Okay, I'm going to pause this here. Be right back. I'm going to bring some cameras for you because this is very, very interesting, right? So where is my... Be right back. Okay, be right back, guys. Be right back. I am back to address Tomato's concern. This is the Olympus Pen Mini 2. It is so thin, it is so small, definitely much smaller than OM1 film camera, right? So to fit the sensor thickness, how thick do you think the sensor is? And to fit the electronics, makes no sense, right? Like, that's just excuses. If they can make it this tiny, and this is not even the smallest Micro Four Thirds camera, we have the GM1, which is even smaller, right? If they can make it this small and still fully functional, right, with very little compromises, I'm sure they can come up with something and make it... I'm not asking it to be this small. I'm not asking it to be EPM2 size. I'm just saying make it slightly, maybe 10% smaller than the OM1 SLR. That will be amazing. Because, hey, the name is Micro Four Thirds. What makes Micro Four Thirds special? we have small, truly compact products that deliver fantastic performance. That's the philosophy of Micro Four Thirds. I'm not asking it to be this small, but if they can make it this small, why can't they make the OM-3 slightly smaller? It makes no sense, right? Yeah. Okay. Chris says, I'm a 95% long lens photographer. Other times I like small and light. Currently, I have the OM-1 with better grip, essential for my long lenses, and EPL-7 with 17, 25, and 45 f1.8 walk around. Yeah, like small lenses, not EPL-7. I have an EPL-7, but like smaller lenses fit smaller cameras better. And if you want to use long lenses, then this camera is definitely not the best choice, right? It's just logic, right? So OM-3 definitely not going to be suitable. The problem with OM-3 is not the size, it's the grip, the lack of grip, and the handling that's making it not really suitable to handle longer lenses, right? So yeah, I'm gonna put a pause here. We have 165 people watching concurrently now. I'll get back to the chat, don't worry. But I do want to share my first set of photographs. And these photographs are very, very interesting because as I just got back to Kuala Lumpur for my long holidays in the weekends, I was invited by my friend Jaya. Thank you so much, Jaya. Shout out to you. We went to shoot this fish lantern parade in Petaling Street at the Little Ghost Lane, or the locals call it Kwai Chai Hong, which is quite fun. And I've never seen a fish lantern festival before. At that time, I needed to test a lens on the Z5, and because I had to test the lens on the Z5, so I had the Z5 with me. I did not intend to do any photography at all. The only lens I have with me, besides the lens I have to test, was the 40 f2 from Nikon, right? So I have the Z5, 40 f2, and another lens that I'm testing. I can't say what lens it is now because I'm still testing it. I'm not done with it yet. The only usable lens that I have at that time was the 40 f2, and I was stuck with one lens, so it wasn't ideal. So I was shooting a parade. It was close to sunset, but not quite. So here are some photographs, and yeah, let's look at the photographs now. Okay, so those of you in Kuala Lumpur would know that this is a Kwai Chai Hong, and it was flooded with people. Not just the people from the parade, you can see those fishes floating up there, right? But also a lot of photographers as well. My goodness, this was the time where photographers just crawled from everywhere. There are some people I haven't seen in more than 10 years. They just appeared here. It was quite scary. Anyway, so here is the start of the event. Just want to... Oh, this is not the first photograph I want to show. This is the opening photograph. Sorry. A failed panning shot. It didn't fail 100%. You still can see some shapes of the human in the middle. The guy carrying the fish lantern is somewhat a little bit in focus, but no. If you really scrutinize, and if I were to pixel peep, this is a failed panning photograph. But I want to show this as an opening photograph because, hey, why not? I do have failed photographs as well, and for a failed photograph, it doesn't look half as bad. So it makes for a nice abstract opening photograph to show you that there's a lot of motion, there's light, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of action happening during this fish lantern parade. So this was the second photograph to establish location, a shot to show the red lanterns. This is where the Kwai Chai Hong is, Little Ghost Lane, and to show that there's a lot of people there, which is like a sea of people, and yeah, the fish lanterns as well. So there you go. The third shot, I think you know what I'm trying to show here, right? Sometimes when I look at things that's happening, it may not necessarily be related to the theme or the project that I'm shooting, but something else happened, so I took a photograph of that. It just happened that the light was shining on this couple, and yeah, it just became the center of the attention. And like I said, there are many ways, I've said this many times, there are many ways to draw the attention of the viewers to the subject or where you want them to see in your photograph. Composition is one thing. You can see that this is rule of thirds. Not only rule of thirds, but the lighting on them is just spot on. I did not plan this. It just happened to be that way. So all I have to do is just capture the shot as is, right? So yeah. Next shot. not really a clean shot, but I want to show some of the tall buildings in the background because we are in Kuala Lumpur. This is a big city. We do have a metropolitan vibe to this urban environment. So I just want to show some tall buildings in the background while people are carrying the fish lanterns. The cool thing about these fish lanterns is that because they're on the stick, right? If they move the stick up and down, the fish goes this way. I can't capture it in the photograph, of course, but those who have the video, whoever captured video of this parade, can see that if these people, they move the stick up and down, the lantern will move this way, which is pretty cool. Anyway, fish is a very important symbol of prosperity for Chinese because they say 年年有余, means that every year you have fish, and fish is a very important food or something that a catch, right? We have catch, or we have big profit, or we prosper every year, right? Because we have fish. So this is a huge symbol for Chinese. Just a close up on the fish and the people in a parade, right? Go close, right? That's one thing that a lot of people, they just want to shoot from a distance using a long lens. But if you have something wider, go close, you can get a different kind of result. This is a better panning shot. You have some people who are clearly more in focus. The trick about panning shot is that your camera movement has to be in sync with the subject movement. So if you pan this way, it has to be perfectly in sync. Anything that's out of sync, everything will be blur. So the trick is to keep your movement steady and perfectly consistent. So if the person decides to change his or her pace, that's it, your shot is ruined, right? So it takes a lot of try and error. And because this is not my main camera, the Z5 is still not my main camera. My main system is still Micro Four Thirds. I will be a lot more confident doing panning shots using my Micro Four Thirds cameras. The reason I had a Z5 was because, as I said earlier, I was testing a lens. And this is not the lens that I tested. I needed to test the lens, so I brought the camera out, and the backup lens that I have was the 40 f2, which I use for all these shots. And getting close, as I said, go close, capture some human emotions because there's people in the parade, capture the happiness, capture the energy of the parade. That's very important. And I just want to capture a singular fish. So here's the thing. The movement of the fish and the movement of the person is not in sync. So I have to choose whether I want to get the person sharp or the fish sharp. I have a shot where the fish is sharp, but the human is blurred. So I decided to show the shot where the human is sharp, where the fish is blurred. Because I think the human face is more important here. And the fish itself, well, you can see it's still a fish. You can still see the overall shape, the color, the patterns, and everything. So that's perfectly fine. The human face is sharp here. So that's my choice, right? And yeah, some people posing for cameras. They stop here before the lanterns. This is the front of the parade. I sort of wish that the sky was darker. Based on the timetable, the parade was supposed to start at about 7:30, which is about the sunset. I wish it's a little bit later, but the parade started at 7:05 or 7:10, where it was still very bright. You can see the sky is still very, very bright. And not that it's bad, it's just that if the sky is darker, then the lantern's glow will be a bit more prominent. They'll definitely stand out more in the photograph because that's what we want to highlight, right? The fish lanterns. And now, yes, you can see the glow of the lanterns, but sort of like they have to fight with the brightness of the sky. So yeah, I really, really wish the sky was a little bit darker. And no, I'm not the kind of people who will do sky replacement. That's not the kind of photographer I am. Yeah, you can see when the sky's a little bit darker, the lanterns look better. And even here, the sky is still a little bit too bright. I understand that they may not want a completely dark sky. I actually prefer a completely dark sky. I think they want like the blue hour sort of glow in the sky, the blue versus red, which is fine. But if they have started at 7:30, it would have been much, much better. I think the shots would have come out a lot better. Yeah. And my last panning shot, you can see the lady, the face is perfectly sharp, whereas everything is blur. All right. Panning shot in this situation works really well because there's movement. You want to show that there's movement, there's energy, there's some drama in the shot. So that's how you can do panning shot. All right. And that's the last shot for the day. Some close-ups of the fish or getting close to the people carrying the fish. Right. I hope you guys enjoy this short series of photographs I've captured. Now bear in mind that I did not plan this shoot. I did not intend to take any photographs at all. I was invited to the parade. I just wanted to witness, but since I had my camera with me, I thought, why don't I just grab a few shots and share with you guys? And I if I had my Micro Four Thirds camera, the panning shots would have come out a lot better because it's about you getting used to the camera. It's about you being able to use the camera effectively, and definitely I can use my Micro Four Thirds more effectively than the Nikon. Nothing's wrong with the Z5, it's just that the camera feels different in my hand. I can't really follow the movements as confidently as I would if I was using my Micro Four Thirds setup. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoy that. It is 13 minutes past 11. I'm going to drink some water, then some coffee, and then, yeah, and get back to the chat. Had to stay hydrated. Hey. All right. Do we have coffee? Yes, we still have some coffee. Good coffee. Okay, before I get back to the chat, I think it's a good time to remind everyone that I have membership enabled. With just the price of a cup of coffee, you can support me. You can get a few interesting perks in return. Number one, you have early access to my videos. You get to see my new videos 24 hours before everyone else. Number two, we have members-only live streams. We have a private live stream where you can come in and chat with me more intimately and more directly. That's once every month. And number three, I'll prioritize my responses to your comments, whether it's in my old or new videos. Also to the chats like here in this live stream. I've taken down some older videos. They were not performing well. These videos, they include tips and tricks of composition, black and white photography, how to get sharp images doing macro, and some POV street photography. I've taken the videos down because I don't want them to dilute the algorithm, and I want my new videos to continue to be pushed to the wider audience. If you join as a member, you have full access to these videos as well. Besides joining as a member, there are other ways to support me. You can buy me a cup of coffee by using this link, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal. You can also buy from my affiliate links from Amazon or B&H. I'll earn about 2% commission. And yeah, all the links are in the description below. Any support, any contribution will greatly help, and they are greatly appreciated because I do use my own funds to create my videos, and those videos, they do need some resources from time to time. They cost money to make, right? So with your help and your contributions, definitely you'll encourage me to do more. You'll enable me to create more content and share them here, share as much as I can with you guys. All right. So for those who have contributed, for those who have sent through PayPal or buy me coffee or use my affiliate links, any support that you have contributed, I'm very, very thankful to you guys. As I've always mentioned, there's no Robin Wong without you guys. So thank you so much. All right, let's get back to the chat. Let's get to members chat first, and then I'll go to the non-members chat. DW says, because the battery in OM-3 is big, they use a smaller battery, right? We don't need 120 frames per second shooting with the OM-3. We don't need the latest processor. They can just use an older processor, an older image sensor. I don't expect the OM-3 to have flagship level performance, right? It's not a flagship camera. Gregory says, I wonder how much the OM-3 size is driven by heat dissipation. If they don't put in the latest processor, it doesn't have to overheat, right? That's their own fault in the making. Chris says, OM-3 has no grip and cannot have a battery grip as there are no connections for one. Not a long lens camera, obviously. Yeah, that's what I mentioned, right? It doesn't make sense for it to be that big. If you're not going to handle long lenses on the camera anyway, why not make it smaller? Yeah. Tomato says, how you're right, Robin, although it could do with having OMD, OM1 level features, and maybe even a flip screen. Yeah. Micro says, when you do the panning shot, do you turn off image stabilization? Not on the Z5. So when I use my Olympus cameras, I usually turn it off. So for the Z5, I tried panning with the image stabilization. It is smart enough to recognize that I was doing the panning and it wasn't trying to fight my panning movement. So I just left it on. Yeah. Jeff, okay, sorry. DW says, in Chinese, fish pronounced the same as the word meaning surplus, more than just adequate, wealthy. Yeah, I know, right? So a lot of things. Fish is a very important symbol for Chinese people and our culture and tradition, right? Search says, hey Robin, do you think it's worthy to upgrade from OM Mark II to OM Mark I? I will like to do more wildlife photography. If you're shooting birds, definitely. The OM Mark I has the bird AI autofocus. When you have a bird in your frame, the camera will immediately jump to the bird and keep the focus on the eye, which is very fantastic, and the focus is very sticky. I think that makes a huge difference if you do a lot of like bird in flight. That AI subject detection autofocus makes a whole world of difference compared to EM1 Mark II, and the burst rate is a lot higher as well. So yeah, definitely, I think that's a huge upgrade compared to the EM1 Mark II if you want to do wildlife specifically. Stone Rock 64 says, good morning from chilly Denver, minus 16 degrees. My goodness, you guys have really cold weather everywhere out there. It's 29 degrees in my room. I have both the EM1 Mark III and the EM5 Mark III and the original EM5. I like the JPEG colors of the EM5 a little bit better than the other two produced. I think to me it doesn't make any difference because I process my own images from RAW, so I can put in whatever color profile that I need. Boris says, do not be disappointed, Robin. Kai Wong does not get a test model for OM-3 either. I cannot understand why OM System decides to skip a street photographer when they release a street photography camera. I would love to see what Kai has to say. Hey, I think Kai's opinion can be quite brutally honest from time to time, right? It's not all like, hey, I'm a cheerleader, everything is amazing kind of reviewer, right? Chris says, as micro photo shooters, may our minds be as deep as our depth of field. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Undertaker says, hey Robin, hey Undertaker, how are you? Greetings from Italy. Hi. Have seen numerous reviews on OM3 and except for a few balanced ones, I see an extreme polarization. Some love, others hate it. What do you think about it? I will share my thoughts in my coming first impressions video on Monday. So yeah, to keep things short because I do have a lot of comments to go through here. So yeah, my video on the OM-3 is coming out very, very soon. Stefan says, well, they could join forces with DJI and bring Micro Four Thirds drone. I'll buy one. I don't think DJI needs OM system. They are perfectly fine on their own. They are doing very, very well. It's OM system that is currently struggling, right? Zotan says, Robin, do you know Mr. Wu from YL Camera? No, I don't. But I do know their boss still, Desmond. So yeah. Zot says, hey Robin, hey Zot, how are you? Of course, the next one is the OM-1X. It's kind of hard to predict what they'll come up next, right? It's like OM-3 was out of nowhere. Who would have seen OM-3 coming now, right? Everyone is expecting a Pan F Mark II or Pan F replacement. But yeah, I don't think OM-1X is entirely impossible. We'll just see what happens. 3D Trip says, on megapixels count, the diffraction limit might be why keeping micro four thirds. Nah, that's just a lot of nonsense. Just because, okay, here's the thing, right? Diffraction also will really happen when you really stop down the aperture to like f4, f5.6 or beyond. But micro four thirds, come on, I shoot wide open f1.8, f2.8 all the time. And at f1.8 or f2.8, 30 megapixels diffraction should not be a problem. Yeah. Hey, Rotten Fish, how are you? Good evening to you. Good evening to you too. Nice to see you here again. Yeah. I can't remember. Have you been to the Bang Nagara exhibition? I thought that was quite cool. Did I see you there? I don't remember seeing you there. If you did, I'm so sorry. My brain is not working as it used to be. But yeah, do check out the exhibition at Bang Nagara, Sasana Kijang. Hey. Okay, you guys are talking to each other. Crispy says, I totally agree with you, Robin. OM needs entry-level cameras to survive. These people will then also buy more expensive cameras and above all, lenses. Yeah, you need to allow people to grow with you, right? It's like, maybe now they buy an entry-level camera, 5 years later when they get promoted or they start their own business or their business grows to be more successful, they have more cash, they can invest in your more expensive cameras and lenses, right? Grow with them, allow them to start somewhere. Yeah. BRP says, agree with you on the need for cheaper cameras for more folks to get into the system. Yeah, definitely something more affordable, right? Valentin says, Robin, remember when camera sales went down because of mobile phones? The prices were right. Now the sales are growing. They raised the prices 20%. Yeah, but then again, the A1 Mark II and the A9 Mark III, these are flagship level cameras. So I will not complain so much on the prices on flagship level cameras because these cameras, they have the best of the best. They have the latest technology. They are the latest and greatest, right, from what the brands has to offer. Now, the OM-3, on the other hand, is not a flagship level camera. The fact that it doesn't have a large grip and it only has a single cut slot, that says a lot, right? So not being a flagship level camera, having flagship level cameras pricing, there's something a little bit off somewhere. Yeah. As Zat says, they have EP7, still the best-selling micro four thirds camera in Japan. But the problem is EP7 is only available in several countries. Like, it's impossible to find here in Malaysia. Like, most places in the world don't even have EP7, so it doesn't really count, right? 400mm prime, yep, I can see that. I don't know if OM system is since they want to create longer, larger lenses, right? So why not 400mm? Astrom says, I hope for next OM digital solutions will be a weather seal EP7, Pen 7, which can be the same design with flip up, flip under screen as the EP7, but with USB-C and newer sensor and menu. Yeah, but definitely they need something that is more affordable. So if they put in weather sealing, new sensor, new processor, that's not going to be cheap, right? We're looking at like $1,500 or even more. To keep things more affordable, more manageable, maybe they will skip the weather sealing, maybe they'll skip the latest sensor, but we need something at a price range of $1,000 or lower. So some things have to go, right? But yes, USB-C, I agree with you. We need USB-C, definitely. Yeah. I'll go to the members chat first. I'll jump to members chat. Jeffrey says, with really big lenses, the camera is never balancing those lenses. Where a grip becomes important is intermediate zooms and heavier primes like 90 macro or 40 to 150 f2.8. Okay. Well, it depends because, for example, 300 f4. It may not balance very well with the EM1 Mark II, but with experience and a change of handling, like for example, you shift the weight of the lens or the combo to your left hand while you just try to balance it with your right hand instead of just holding the whole thing with your right hand. You're actually holding it with your left hand and steadying it with your right hand. It's actually quite balanced. Just a shift of the way you use things. But provided you have a proper hand gripping area, right? The beefier grip. If the camera lacks the grip, it's the smooth, flat hand holding area like the OM-3, even if you shift your weight to the left hand, that's just going to slip away on the right hand trying to steady it, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. I've handled 300 f4 or 100 to 400, the non-pro lens, right? These are generally larger lenses on the larger side of things, still feel quite balanced on the EM1 Mark II or EM1 Mark III without the additional grip attachment. Yeah, with the grip attachment, it's even more balanced. DW says, with OM3, I'm sure Pen F Mark II is impossible. Yeah, it's like, here is our answer to your request for the Pen F Mark II. Here, OM3. Jeffrey says, on Astro rig or gimbal, the grip is mostly in the way. Different strokes for different folks. I understand. Yeah, but then again, like the Astro photography is like so, I would say niche. I know more and more people are picking it up, but come on, like if you have 1,000 people buying into, let's say, an OM10 or OM3 or OM5, for example, right? How many of them would actually use these cameras for Astro? I'll say less than 50, for example, right? Wolfie says, hi Robin, nice to see you live again. I miss your conversations. No worries, Wolfie, how are you? Nice to see you here. Good to have you again. All right, let's get to the non-members chat. I'm just going to keep going to the chat until I catch up with everyone, right? And then we'll call it a night. Some dude says, Lumix user, OM3 has been interested in everyday carry for photos. Is OM autofocus better than Lumix? They claim many autofocus points. I assume that means better chance of closer autofocus. I did not test the OM3 for autofocus. I don't have enough time. So there are many reviews out there. If you want to check out a balanced autofocus review, do check out Petapixel and DP Review. They will highlight the problems with autofocus on the OM3. Crispy says, mobile phones are limited because they don't have lenses that can be upgraded. Not yet, right? Who knows, one day we'll have mobile phones that can change lens. I don't think that's impossible. Valentin says, and this camera for $2,000, but at least this camera is full metal as I understood. Yes, it's in full metal construction. MRH9 says, will Panasonic jump in? I don't think the S9 was a success, but the GS85 with a new sensor and electron viewfinder would compete. Once folks realize how much they can save on the lenses, it may be very desirable. I really wish they would ditch the field sequential electronic viewfinder. I have the GS7. That viewfinder is horrible. That's like the worst ever viewfinder I've used in my life. In my video, I'm still making the video for the GX7. It'll be coming out in a few weeks. I'm still in the midst of getting enough sample photographs. Man, I wish they don't do that. It's really bad. And yes, the S9 was a failure, I would say. Yeah. Roddenfish says, you're right, the Olympus lens is so great, and that's the reason why I'm still using Micro Four Thirds system. Yeah, the lenses itself is enough to keep you on the system, right? Shens says, the high price of the OM-3 is due to the stacked BSI sensor, probably. So don't use the sensor. Why use the sensor? The sensor doesn't provide any benefit. It's just, the megapixel is the same, dynamic range is the same, high ISO is the same. Yeah, it's faster, but who shoots 120 frames on a camera that you can't use for birding or professional work? Doesn't make sense, right? But the firmware and software is not using all features of the stack sensor, so why the OM system use stack sensor? I know, right? It makes zero sense. Peter says OM needs a family-friendly, less than $800 camera option. I agree. KR says, hey Robin, greetings from Slovenia. Hey KR, how are you? I'm for sure getting OM-3 with some primes. Question is which 25? Panasonic 25 f1.4 or OM25 f1.8? We'll probably get 17 f1.8. I want to dive too deep into the Panasonic 25 versus the Olympus 25. The last time I did this, I got into sort of like a huge backlash. It did not go well. I got bashed, for being honest. So I don't see a way out of this. So get whatever you want, Panasonic 25 or Olympus 25. I'm not going to comment on that, but I'm not a fan of the 17 f1.8. There's just something wrong with the lens. I've talked about this before. You can check out some of my older videos when I talk about the 17 f1.8. But yeah, that's all I can say for your questions. Stefan says, I would love to see the 4/3 TUF TG8. Nah. It'll be a miracle if they can fit a 1-inch sensor in the camera instead of a micro 4/3 sensor, right? So yeah, if they have a 1-inch sensor in the TUF camera, I will buy one, definitely. As that says, actually Micro Four Thirds is a full frame format. What nowadays is called full frame actually refers to 35mm full frame. Yep, I agree. Micro Four Thirds uses the entire frame. There's no crop whatsoever. Esmila says, an updated Z3 would be nice. They can share hardware with others like Olympus did with the Pentax MX1 and Casio AX10. I think the days of compact cameras is already gone. I think it makes more sense for them to come up with a Micro Four Thirds camera with a fixed lens and sell it at a higher price. The Z3 will not sell today, unfortunately. BRP says, the touchscreen is not fully enabled, especially when navigating the menus. Not sure if it's the same with OM1 cameras still. Yes. I have been complaining about this for years, and they're still using single touchscreen in 2025. OM system, why? Everyone since 10 years ago, Sony, Panasonic, Canon, they have been using multi-touch screen. That means you can pinch the zoom, but you can't do that with Olympus or OM system camera. It's like, my goodness, what's wrong with them? Anyway, enough complaints. Let's see if we have members chat. Yes, we have a few. Let's make sure I don't miss anything. Jeffrey says, good point on balancing 300 f4 with a grip body and changing lenses. The grip is useful. Yes. Wolfie says, for me, the OM-3 completely misses the mark. Too flat, no Allen grips, very outdated electronic viewfinder, no innovation, new software additions, price way too high, less customization. Not really. It has C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, right? That's customizable settings. And then like CP button, the record button, the AEL button, and a few other buttons can be fully customized to whatever functions you want. I think there's plenty of buttons to customize, and even the switches itself can be customized for a lot of different things. I think customization is never a problem for OM system cameras. I agree, the flat gripping area was not very inspiring. Electronic viewfinder could be better. It doesn't have to be the latest 5.7 million dots. It can be the 3.7 million dots. That will be appreciated. A significant upgrade from the 2.36 million dot panel, which is used like more than 10 years ago in the original Pan-F and EM10 Mark II. No innovation is fine. No new software addition is fine for me because OM-3 is not a flagship camera. If this is a flagship, say the OM-1 Mark III, I will expect some new features. I'll expect them to push the imaging boundaries, like a new 30 megapixel sensor, for example, with improved dynamic range and high ISO. I'll expect them to push better capabilities overall, like better autofocus, whatever, right? But OM-3 is not a flagship level camera. It sits below the OM-1 and OM-1 Mark II, so not having like better features or newer features, not pushing the imaging boundaries, to me that's fine. But price is way too high. That I agree. Yeah. Wolfie says, I recently purchased a used Samsung NX500 for £300, 1650 f2 to f2.8 for £270, 16 f2.4, £80, and 5200 f4 5.6 for £135. I love the image quality and colors so much. All right, that's amazing for you. Well, it's impossible to find here in Malaysia. So Jeffrey says, I'm with you, Robin. The OM-1 autofocus issues is the metaphorical elephant in the room. I know, right? I've complained about this so much, I will not talk about it again. Gregory says, OM-3's price is driven by marketing and executive salaries. I guess marketing is part of the cost, right, for any products. So Chris says, BSI 120 frames per second speed is needed for slow motion video for creators. Not true. Not true. Wolfie says, and the best feature is absolutely tiny and 300 grams, extremely comfortable grip and floppy 180 degrees to the front for selfies, and my dog and smile, automatic shutter and super AMOLED screen. Yeah, how about that? Who says, I won't be getting a similar camera from Panasonic Olympus until they have a EP709 with 180 degrees floppy screen and dual dial. Small automatic shutter is similar. Maybe weather resistant if they can do it. I don't think they will come up with a Pan series camera anytime soon. I think OM-10 or OM-5 Mark II is more likely, if you get what I mean, to keep it more consistent with the OM branding. I have someone who already got the OM-3 and he said there are limits on what functions you can assign. It's not as customizable as OM-1 and OM-5. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Gregory says, I would not be surprised if the price started high to allow drastic reductions later. But then again, I tried customizing the CP button, the AL button, and the record button. It's open to all functions though. Like, what restrictions? I don't understand. Like, there are a few preview button is there. You can customize it to change ISO, white balance, RAW to JPEG. Like, pretty much all the standard things that Olympus and Web System has been doing all this time, right? I don't know. Like, maybe I need to spend more time with the camera to find these restrictions. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the non-members chat. Morris says, I'm considering sacrificing my OM-5 and my EM5 Mark III. If I can get 1,000 or a little less, then I can get the OM-3. What do you think? I don't think you'll miss anything, hey. Like, I think the OM-5 and EM5 Mark III, well, you don't need to have both OM-5 and EM5 Mark III. Both cameras are very similar anyway, so you can keep one and sell one and fund for something else. But OM-3 and OM-5, I don't think you get anything more out of the camera, right? You get worse grip, same viewfinder experience, same image stabilization. You have wider ceiling. The camera is bigger and heavier with worse handling compared to OM-5. Yeah. New sensor, but you don't get better image quality. It's faster. You get new features like live grad ND. You have handheld high-res. But other than that, nothing really more. I don't think it's... To me, I'll keep the OM-5. Yeah. Matthew says, the issue of the card slots in the EM1 Mark II is that only slot 1 is ultra-high speed 2 compatible, which lowers the speed when you're recording to both cards for redundancy. Nah. I don't burst like 60 frames per second. I don't even burst. I just took single shots. And I took like multiple shots, click, 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 and the camera, both card slots can keep up very, very well. I'm not those spray and pray kind of photographer. If you shoot 60 frames a second all the time, yeah, that could be a big problem. Dave says, some people just don't learn history. Many car companies like Lamborghini that used to produce only high-end expensive cars today are owned by companies like Volkswagen that produce affordable ones. I know, right? When your product is affordable and more accessible, more people buy them. And you get more profit in the end, right? That's just the logic. Like, why can't we see that? Upgrade Lemonade says, hey Robin, hope your holiday at home was good. Wow, that was several weeks ago. In terms of OM-3, I just feel this $2,000 price point doesn't excite new people to get into the system. It's not competitive. Micro Four Thirds needs growth. I know, right? It's like, I hope the OM-3 is not the only camera from OM system this year. I'm fine with it for now because it's only February, right? It's still very early on. I hope they have something else to be launched later on in this year, maybe in the mid-year or towards the end of the year, like OM-10 or OM-5 Mark II. Something more affordable, like $1,000 or even lower than that. If they can bring it to $850, that would be amazing, right? Pixby asks, is OM good for weddings? I did not use the OM-1 to shoot a wedding, but I used the EM-1 Mark II to shoot weddings. Yeah, I just did one wedding very recently in December. No problem. I've been shooting weddings for many years with the EM-1 Mark II. Fantastic camera. Amazing results. Craig says, you can't really compare a film camera size to digital camera size. There's more to the camera. Craig! Here! Digital camera! What are you talking about? Look at this. Smaller than OM-1. Here, EPM2. And it's not even the smallest micro four thirds camera out there. I rest my case. Chris says, I saw on Thomas' channel that the viewfinder on OM-3 is more manageable for people who wear glasses, even though the resolution is half. Okay. Craig says, they also absolutely have to release an OM-5 Mark II if for nothing else, including a USB-C connector. Otherwise, they lose the European market. I don't think they're trying to do anything on the OM-5. But I think OM-10 makes more sense. Do you think? Something more accessible to everyone. We'll see. We'll see what they do. I think it's too early to tell. I think there's a huge gap between now and the next product that they are going to launch, the telephoto zoom lens, right? This is going to be sometime later in this year. Hopefully they release a camera like OM-10 or something. Alan says, I think it is because of the weather sealing. I heard that they cannot bring in new panel because of weather sealing. That's not true. Where do you hear this crap? It's nonsense. Santix says, hi Robin, hope you are doing great. I'm doing well, thank you so much. Nice to see you again, Santix. Austin says, and weather sealing. Okay. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I like a compact system like Panasonic LX100, then buy one. Austin says a grip could easily be added for long lens shooting, then removed for normal lenses, but there's no option to add any grip, at least original one from the OM system. You need to add the grip that is manufactured from third party, which is not available yet, but I'm sure someone like Smallring is going to make something for OM system. We just have to wait. Asraf says they should make a camera design from Cam Media or E1 era in a smaller version, but E1 is humongous though. That's like a monster camera. Like, I don't think they can create something so big, and people don't want big cameras these days, right? Let's get to the members chat, if any. Nope, no members chat. Okay, let's continue. Sweden says, Robin, you misunderstood my idea of USB-C. 3.5mm port for mic and headset will be updated to USB standard instead of 3.5, just like mobile phones often are nowadays. But the problem is that for the camera boards, there are a lot of more advantages having direct 3.5mm recording into the camera, because if you use USB-C, that requires additional processing. And not to say that the processors are not powerful enough, but that will also mean it will generate more heat, right? So I mean 3 USB-Cs running 3 processing concurrently. I don't think that's very wise. It means the processor in the camera will have to program to multitask even more. That's insane, right? Because currently the USB-C can only do a few things. Charging, I'm not even sure if it's allowing for compatible microphone output. I don't think so. I don't think the OM-1 Mark II allows the USB-C for microphone compatibility. It's only for the output of, what was the output? Not the HDMI. HDMI has a separate slot. So USB-C, to the computer, right? So to transfer images to the computer, and maybe to run through the software like the OM webcam software. Just limited functionality, just to make sure the camera will not be overworked, right? So yeah, Santic says, went to see the OM-3 on Monday. The right strap lug is pressing onto my index finger. Will potentially be painful if really using it. Really? Okay, that didn't happen to me. How did I hold the camera? Let me see here. It didn't press. Anyway, I felt fine with the lug. So no problem for me whatsoever. I have other problems, which I will highlight. I'm not saying the handling is great. There are problems with handling. I will highlight them in my coming video, which will be launched on Monday. Yeah, Fish Me Surplus. Thanks for that. Santi says, any photo exhibitions or events coming out in February and March? There is one, but I wouldn't push you to go is in a cafe. Ernie and Tina. I'll talk about it in next week's live stream, so it's not in a rush. The exhibition is going to go on until March, so I'll announce it later. So Stone Rock says, these colors look washed out compared to Olympus street photos in daylight. You can't compare to daylight, Stone Rock. You just cannot. If I were to use Olympus cameras, the colors will look the same. Trust me. Like, I don't understand how people can compare, oh, Canon colors look this, oh, Fuji colors look that. I mean, yes, there are times where the colors look really bad, especially like skin tone, they don't look natural. Or certain like blue colors in the sky, it doesn't look as what you remember seeing with your eyes. But other than that, like whether the colors look saturated or washed out or anything, like come on, it's just based on your taste in post-processing, right? And at the end of the day, when the camera captures the image, you try to capture it as faithfully as possible. And trust me, if I use my Micro Four Thirds setup, the colors are going to look exactly the same. I've tested the Z5 versus Micro Four Thirds side by side. The colors are not that different. There are some differences, especially how the cameras render the skin tones. Of course, the camera's white balance or the auto white balance will calculate the scene differently. If you match the white balance in post-processing, because I shoot RAW, the colors are somewhat very, very, very similar, right? So, yeah. Upgrade Limited says, OM-3 with the OM-5 specs and USB-C would have been way better decision, better price point. Yes, that's my point exactly earlier, right? Anthony says, yesterday it was minus 18 degrees Celsius with a wind chill of minus 30. Impressed with the OM-1 Mark II's viewfinder, it never fogged up when using it in super cold conditions. Yeah, I know, right? Captain Webb says, what drives me crazy, there seems to be no list which Olympus OM system cameras have a clean HDMI out. Most reviews don't mention anything. This is a clean HDMI out, right? This is OM1. What do you mean no clean HDMI out? I don't understand. So if I disable, let's see, this, and if I disable this, this is pretty much clean HDMI out, right? There's nothing on the camera. This is OM1, and you can get clean HDMI out from EM1 Mark II, EM1 Mark III, EM1X, Pan F. You can get it from, yeah, OM-3, OM-5, pretty much, right? It's clean HDMI, right? So I don't understand where this is coming from. Anyway, and I've been using this, I've been streaming for 1 year, and you can have clean HDMI since 2017, right? EM1 Mark II, as far as I remember. 2016 when it was launched. That's like almost 10 years ago. Clean HDMI out. Yeah. Dave says, I jumped from Lightroom to Capture One and back, but today I'm a Capture One boy. Yeah, I'm still using Capture One for my day-to-day post-processing. Thomas says, windshield is a word only the most unfortunate know of. Oh my goodness, I hope it's not that bad. Hey, Norm says, I can't wait to see what OM Systems does with the launch of the OM-2 flagship release. OM-2? Interesting. Why would OM-2 be flagship though? One sits at the top, right? 3, 5, so 2 sits below 1. So I don't think OM-2 will be a flagship. Katarina says, if the EPL10 will have a clean HDMI out, it will be an instant buy for me. The form factor above all, but I have doubts it can. Okay, I understand. Yeah, well, if you want clean HDMI out, EM1 Mark II, and you can get it for like, I don't know, here in Malaysia, $500 US or less. Yeah, GMT says manufacturers will release a grid for OM-3 and that will resolve any issues for large lenses. That makes it compelling for any photography scenario, but it's going to add the size and bulk of the camera. And it doesn't help that the camera is already longer than OM-1. If you see the size comparison, the dimension, some of them is actually bigger than the OM-1, right? So that's a problem. To add a grip, it's going to make it even bigger. Tomato says, also wanton mee is live. Try your soup. Soup, always. Wolfie says, the OM5 and EM10 are too narrow and my thumb has little room next to it. From a viewfinder, it's hard to hold comfortable for more than 1 hour. This is why I prefer the rangefinder style cameras, really. If I were to use the cameras for long duration of time, EM1 Mark II. Easy. I'm not going to use OM5 or EM10. Yeah, those are for my street outings, so I'm not going to complain. But if I were to do jobs, it's EM1 Mark II, and it has the best camera grip I've used ever out there, even better than the OM1. OM3 solves that by being wider, but it has flat front and strap lug is in the way of the hand to hold comfortable. Haven't tried yet anything bigger than f4 zooms, f1.8 primes. I have a different problem with the camera. I'm not going to review it here. I'm going to talk about it. I'm not sure if there are other reviews talking about it, but most other reviews are glowingly positive anyway. But I'll talk about it in my coming video on Monday, my first impression of OM3. So yeah, do check it out. very, very soon. Oop, I missed quite a few comments. Sorry. Wolfie says, no button can be set to cycle through AF modes. View button can be set as drive mode. Can't see a button to being out the manual lens list like the panel for adapted lenses. From a new buyer of OM-3. So no button can be set to cycle through autofocus modes. Why would you need a button for that? You can just use the up, down, left, right button, right? View button can be set as drive mode. That's good, right? You can set as drive mode. Can't see a button to being out the manual lens. Can't see a button to being out the manual lens. List like the panel for adaptive lens. Okay, I don't use manual lenses, so that doesn't bother me at all. Wolfie says, I can see these frustrations. I will set the camera in a similar way. Okay. Tomato says, those photos were beautiful, Robin. I haven't seen people carry the fish lanterns before when I was in Penang during Chinese New Year. Yeah, it doesn't work. We don't really have like fish lanterns parade, right? Usually it's lion dance or dragon dance, right? Gregory says, the film OM-1 had a mechanical gear-driven timing chain, geared film advance and precision film guides in the camera back. The only electronics were in the CDS light sensors of the focus screen. Yeah. Wolfie says, for me, the biggest issue is the price of £1,700 for the 20 megapixel stack sensor that I can get for $800 in the OM-1 use, £800, and $1,200 OM-1 Mark II use, and that doesn't add anything more than looks and shape. I agree. Well, I said this in last week's stream, Wolfie. It's not fair to compare the OM-3 and OM-1 in this way. If you want to compare specs by specs, of course OM-1 wins. OM-1 is a flagship camera. OM-3 is not. It's as simple as that. The best of the best in terms of capabilities, features, and innovations, right? The latest and greatest. Everything is going to be in OM-1 because it's the flagship level camera. OM-3, the name suggests it sits below OM-1. It's not going to win in terms of specifications. If you're just looking to get the best out of the best, what you can get worth, you want to squeeze every little bit you can get out of the money that you pay, of course, the OM-1 will always be the most worth it when it comes to specifications, what a camera can do, right? But OM-3 is a different proposition. Think of it this way. We have the OM-1, but now we have something else. If you want something that looks different, if you want something that doesn't look like a typical camera, and yet it has the OM-1 Mark II's internals, it doesn't really skip much when it comes to like image sensor, processing power in terms of features. Like it has handheld high-res shot, it has live grad ND. Then yeah, the OM-3 is a good proposition. But the OM-3 is not going to fight with the OM Mark II because, like its design suggests, it doesn't have a beefy grip to handle large lenses. You're not going to use the OM-3 to shoot wildlife. That's just nonsense. You're not going to use it for professional jobs. It doesn't have dual cut slots. So I will still view the OM-3 and OM-1 series cameras to be very separate. Yes, if you think that OM-1 is for you and the OM-3 doesn't make sense, obviously the OM-3, you're not the target audience for the OM-3. It's just as simple as that, right? To say that it's overpriced, I agree. I wish it's a little bit cheaper. But I also think about the X100 Mark VI. Think about it. The price is about the same. It's sold everywhere. No one complains that camera is too expensive, right? So there you go. And in many ways, I would think that the OM-3 is better than the X100 Mark VI. Yeah. Who says, I'm guessing OM solutions will work on either OM-5 Mark II with similar specs or on OM-3 but a bit cheaper, or the OM-10 with OM-5 specs at a lower price. I think OM-10 would be more reasonable but much lower in price, maybe $1,000 or even lower. That would be a wiser decision. Sorry I misspelled, but I can't use view mode for drive mode. Oh, okay, and no button allows to bring up the manual lens list for manual focus lens for focal length for image stabilization. Now, I don't need the manual focus. To me, it doesn't really make sense. I don't really care about that. But the view mode for drive mode, okay, that's interesting. All right. Well, I guess that's something they can fix in a firmware upgrade if enough people make noise. It's just software, right? Gary says the film OM-2 was a step up from OM-1 unless you wanted an indestructible camera to use at the top of Mount Everest in the middle of the Sahara. I bought the OM-2 for its flash capabilities. But that's not going to happen for now. The numbering conventions is quite obvious, right? OM-1 sits at the top Anything lower is just not going to be at the same level as the OM-1. Yeah, at least that's the convention they understand, unless they want to break that pattern. This is going to make things very confusing for everyone. Anthony says they need to bring out the XA1 or stylus style camera with 14f2 fixed lens. Yeah, we'll see. We did have a live stream talking about the possible XA camera, right? Ashikin says, how are you doing, Robin? Good evening from DSB. Good evening to you too, Ashikin. Nice to see you here. He says, just want to say I enjoy wonton noodles too. Yes, amazing, right? Wonton. Who doesn't love wonton? Yes, XA1. We talked about this very, very recently, right? Christoph says, hi to you too. Santik says, well, I have a good feeling there might be entry-level cameras coming from OM in 2 hours? 2 hours, really? Captain Webb says, don't think the OM system has either the money or people to develop a new image processor. Then just buy from other people, right? It'll get other people to commission other people to develop it. Otherwise, they would use the latest tech, as this makes chips smaller and thus cheaper. They don't need the new image processor. They just need to use back the older one, like the one in EM1 Mark II that can shoot 60 frames per second. I don't need 120 frames per second. 60 frames per second is crazy fast. In fact, I just need 10 frames per second. Even so, I seldom shoot bursts. 10 frames is enough. So you have 60 frames per second from EM1 Mark II. That's like 10 years ago. Why not? Or almost 10 years ago. It's 9 years ago, 2016, right? 20 megapixel sensor from EM1 Mark II is still as capable as the OM-1. Dynamic range, high ISO to me. I tested it side by side. OM-1 versus EM1 Mark II. No difference whatsoever. So use back the older image sensor, and the slower by saying slower is 60 frames per second. It's still faster than what almost everyone can do out there, right? So why not? I still think it makes sense, and bring it down $500 cheaper. They already have this. You can't say that they can't make it. They already have them, right? So yeah. Thomas says, OM-3 will have added a secondary SD card slot. Micro SD is better than nothing. Nah. The fact that they don't include a second card slot, it tells you that if you want a second card slot, get an OM-1. There's a camera for that, right? So not every camera needs a 2-card slots. You get what I mean? So yeah. Christoph says, hi Robin, the problem with low-end cameras is the phone taking photos not as good, but good enough. I don't understand. A camera will still take superior image quality compared to any smartphones out there, even if it's low-end camera. I can use a 20-year-old Canon 5D Mark I and take superior images than the latest and the greatest smartphones out there today. I can guarantee you that. Zoltan says, thank you, Robin, for sharing these beautiful pictures from your trip. No worries. I appreciate that. Love that you enjoyed the photographs. I share what I can. Steve says, I'm just sticking with my EM10 Mark II, which is a fantastic camera, by the way. Kadoya says, in the computer industry, it's normal to sell defect chips as less capable. If that would be possible for image processors, there will be a chance to see a renaissance of 12 or 16 megapixels cameras. All right, we'll see. Steve says, 6D is best for astro work. Okay, if you do astrophotography, I don't, so I can't comment on that. Copy BB says, Harbin, where do you get used cameras and lenses in Kuala Lumpur? YL camera, KL DSLR, Carousel, take a pick, a lot of places. Marco says, all I'm seeing on YouTube is ambassadors and YouTubers who have been sent an OM-3 to test, so to speak. I'm waiting until real people and photographers who bought the camera have revealed it. Okay. I think you have to wait until the end of the month, right? The camera, at least to fulfill the pre-order, they're going to get it by the end of the month. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. Thomas says, how much cheaper would the OM-3 have been if they didn't use a stacked sensor? I expect $500. $1,500, that will be better, right? So, yeah. Okay, let's see. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. Thomas says, the Dimatis F for $200 less than OM-3 is what everyone's going to be looking at and thinking, what the F? Powerfolders are supposed to be smaller and cheaper, I know, right? Yeah, and the ZF is not a bad proposition. It has dual cut slots, so made of metal, looks great. It's just slightly bigger than the OM-3. It has full frame sensor, right? And yeah, and it has faster mechanical shutter, and overall it's quite an amazing camera. Yeah. Kadawat says, wonder, have many engineers developing image processors stayed at Olympus or changed to different companies? Has one system the people to make new tech? We don't have this information, and I don't think anyone's going to release such information. You won't find it. Even if you find this information, it may not be true. Who knows, right? And does it really matter, though? Does it really matter? If they don't have the tech, just commission someone to do it, right? Yeah. Hey Ben, how are you? Ben from the Narrowband channel. So those of you talking about Astro, you guys can talk to Ben. He's probably the most knowledgeable person using Micro Four Thirds in the Astro space that I know. I hope you're doing well, Ben. Ben says, I too do not see why the PanF is made impossible by weather sealing. We have GoPros that are smaller and weather sealed. Don't give it up on the PanF. Yeah, I know, right? Like those people saying that PanF design cannot be weather sealed. Like, I don't think that's true. That's just pure nonsense, right? Yeah. SD says, for the price, I went with S9 and you get free 50 f1.8. But S9 is not weather sealed, doesn't have hot shoe for flash, it doesn't even have mechanical shutter. It's quite a problematic, oversimplified camera, which is not even a camera if you ask me. So yeah. Xbeta says, maybe the future are brick-shaped small cameras and then custom third-party grips with various shapes. That's what they want to do with the Olympus Air, right? Which is a failed concept. It would have worked if it worked, right? Stefan says, I recently had the idea to switch to the Fuji S2. And after testing one for a weekend, and although image quality was amazing, I decided to stick with my OM-1 due to haptics and the lenses. I can't comment on that because I've never tried the camera, so yeah. You're just going to make things more confusing for everyone, right? Gregory, who says, this sounds like the OM-3 is extremely niche market. Wouldn't have it been better to upgrade the OM-5 and PanF at a similar price, upgrade to OM-10, OM-5, OM-5 specs, and OM-10 size? But here's the thing. OM-3 is the first camera that's launched in the year 2025, but what if they have something else in the pipeline? Maybe they have OM-10 that's going to be launched next. That's why we are talking about this in this stream, right? What are we expecting to see coming out from the OM system this year? So yeah. Wolfie says, can OM Digital Solutions offer 3 different cameras at 200, 300 price difference from top to mid-range instead of cover more price range and try to outcompete on features and specs over price? Well, I'm sure if it's below $1,000, there will be a lot of things that are very, very, very different from the OM-3 and OM-1 Mark II. Very, very different. Gary says, at 5 frames a second, I'll blow through a roll of film in 7 seconds. I'm still a get it right the first shot photographer. I don't just compose the frame and just click once. I'm not the kind of person. I will click and click and click, 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 and click, 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 click. Right? I'll click as I want to. I just don't burst. Burst is just hold the shutter button down and just, I don't know. I'm going to tell this one interesting story. So during my days of I was working for Olympus officially. I think this was in the year 2014 or 2015. We had touch and try events. Oh, this could have been 2017, I might have left Olympus already. So there was this touch and try event for EM1 Mark II. Or maybe I was still with Olympus in 2016. 2016, I was still with Olympus. So we did this touch and try event where we brought like 20 EM1 Mark II cameras. We had like 50 people come and try the cameras. We break them up into smaller groups. So they'll take turns to try the camera. And we hired a dancer to dance on stage and tried to ask them to shoot the camera in burst mode. So we set the camera to mechanical shutter and electronic shutter for them to try how fast the camera is and how it tracks the moving dancer, right? It worked very well because it wasn't a very busy setup. It was just a dancer in plain background. No problem for the EM1 Mark II to track successfully at a burst rate, right? Like 10 frames a second mechanical or 15 frames a second electronic shutter, as long as it's a low burst rate, not a high burst rate. If you shoot at 60 frames a second, it will fail. If you shoot at higher, like 15 frames a second mechanical shutter, it will fail as well. If you keep it at low sequential bursts, it will be fine. So imagine this guy shooting at burst rate of 10 frames per second. So the camera has a buffer, right? So he just press the shutter button and you know, like when the buffer runs out and it will go like tuck, 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 and the guy still press the shutter button and I'm like, I look at him and he look at me, I'm like, dude, when am I gonna let go of the shutter button? And he's like, should I let go of the shutter button? I'm like, I don't know, like some people are just, anyway, they just press the shutter button and just stick with it and don't let go. I'm like, why? Anyway, one of the weirdest stories that I've encountered back in the day. Yeah, some people just press and hold the shutter button like non-stop. I don't do that. What I will do is when I see a moment, I'll click. I see a moment, I'll click. I see a moment, I'll click. I'll just keep clicking, right? But in the end, I'll get thousands and thousands of photos. I don't burst, but I click as I like, right? So yeah. Jeffrey says, agree with Ben. Maybe put an EM1 Mark III into a weather sealed Pan F Mark II body with updated electronic viewfinder for $1,000. Yeah, that's what I've been talking about, right? So yeah, Gregory says, OM1 and MD1 bulk back. Now not so small. I used to bulk load to 72 frames of Tri-X into a standard card. I had to worry about film scratching. Yeah. Time check is 2 minutes past midnight here in Malaysia, and I do need to drink some water. Let me just make sure this one is turned off. Let me just drink some water and I'll catch up to as many chats as I can, and then we'll call it a night, all right? Okay. Okay. We have Entrito in the house. Hey Entrito, how are you? Nice to see you here. Sunny Boy says, hi, here is Michael from Trier. Hey Michael, how are you? Nice to see you here. Here on the river Moselle, we say the OM-3 is old wine in new bottles. Okay, that's interesting way to say it. Matthew says, I bought an OM-25 f1.2 grey market at a price 1/4 of a Nikon 50 f1.2, kind of the same given the sensor area of micro four thirty is about 1/4 of full frame. All right, I hope you enjoy the 25 f1.2. I think it's one of the better lenses from Olympus. Thomas says, Robin, I noticed that Olympus colors are great and better than Canon indoors under weird lighting, but outdoor I've noticed white balance is a bit more blue and not as warm. Grass has a blue tint. I think the white balance is just an issue that you can easily fix if you do post-processing, right? If you have a solid workflow, it shouldn't slow you down. Like, I don't really care about camera's white balance, but overall the colors from Olympus and Canon, I think they're very, very similar. Yes, the way the camera calculates the white balance is very different, but if you can match the white balance, the colors are very consistent between Canon and Olympus. Yeah. Norm says, the original film camera upgraded from OM1 to OM2 as their latest flagship. I understand the naming conventions have changed, but where might OM system go after OM1? OM1 Mark III? I guess. GMD says, agreed. OM3 is better than the X100 purely because of interchangeable lens. All the features are negligible between them. Better image stabilization, better weather sealing, right? Overall faster processing power, and perhaps even better autofocus because the X100s, come on, Fuji autofocus. I know I complain about Olympus, but Fuji is on a different level of bad, right? Antonio says, I think the pan camera and viewfinder and internals of OM5 is my camera. Then pan F is your camera. Norm says, as for OM3, I love the overall concept, but the cheaper 24-25 megapixel sensor may have been a better choice. How can a 24-25 megapixel sensor be cheaper? Interesting. Christoph says, what I was saying is that a lot of people who buy a low-end camera are happy enough with a phone they yet own. Then these are not the target market, right? So, because there's a lot of people who use the phone for smartphone photography, they look to upgrade to a camera. They may not necessarily jump straight to the flagship level camera. They might want to have something more accessible, something more affordable. And trust me, people who have used the phone and camera, they can see that the camera provides a lot. It can do a lot more than what they can do with the phone. It opens up to a different world of photography to them, right? Yeah, Ben says, I do have some clues about what could be next from OM, but that info I'll put up after the OM3 review on my channel. More stuff is coming, that is for sure. Ah, okay, nice to see that they're keeping you in the loop, Ben, after all these years. That's great, and I can't wait for your new videos. Stay tuned. Captain Webb says, the Olympus Air was far ahead of its time with today's tech, the fast Wi-Fi USB-C, but sell like crazy to those live street streamers or who put a smartphone on a gimbal. Nah, I think the time is long gone. And modularity has its own problems when you deal with like 4 or 5 different components at the same time. 1 or 2 can cause some problem and everything will fail, right? It's hard to deal with too many devices. Now, that's why smartphones work so well, because it's one device to do everything. Once you start to attach things, it's just getting too complicated. Yeah. The great Vanzini says, good morning, Robin. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you here. All habits, yes. Wolfie says, I do use burst in small quantities, 3 to 7 shots to make sure I get the right moment. I don't have the perfect instinct direction because I can't put enough time in photography compared to day job. I understand. What I'm saying is I just fire at will, right? I don't burst, I don't spray and pray, but I look at something and just click, click, click. I say, ooh, click, ooh, click. It's like, it's just, I don't limit myself when it comes to shutter clicking, but I don't burst. That's what I meant. Yeah. Captain Webb says, and the new Olympus Air would sell as a studio cam. Not really. Logitech sells its Mevo Core, but how well is Logitech doing though? That's the question. For the price, people can get Blackmagic's Micro Four Thirds Studio Cam. Yeah. Paris says, I just bought an OM branded 1445 f4. 12 to 45 f4 Pro. Most of them are branded Olympus. What's going on? Olympus is dead. The imaging business is carved out by JIP, so it's being sold to the Japan industrial partners, and the new company, the brand is OM Digital Solutions. That's why OM System. Yeah, in case you don't know the history. Will says, sorry I'm late. As don't have to apologize. I'm just glad that you're here. Welcome to the stream, Will. So as the EM1 Mark III and PanF user, should I consider selling both to get an OM3? I'm going to just interesting idea. I will keep both the EM1 Mark III and PanF because OM3 is none of those. It's neither an EM1 Mark III replacement or PanF replacement. PanF, because it's smaller than OM3, the shape is different, the design is different. I think people who love PanF love it for the rangefinder look. The OM3 is an SAR look, so it's totally different, right? And EM1 Mark III can do almost everything that the OM3 can do, right? Image sensor in terms of resolution, high dynamic range, high ISO, it's the same. Yes, the OM3 can do 120 frames a second, but EM1 Mark III can do 60 frames a second, which is no slouch either. The EM1 Mark III's image stabilization is just as good. It's weather sealed as well. So if you want a professional grade camera with better handling, dual cut slots, EM1 Mark III has some advantages over the OM3. If you buy the OM3, you're stuck with a single cut slot. It doesn't have a nice grip to hold. It's flat hand holding area. There are a lot of other compromises as well, like the mechanical shutter is limited to 6 frames a second, whereas the EM1 Mark III can go for 15 frames a second. So there are a lot of things that the EM1 Mark III does better than the OM3. So there you go. Wolfie says, Robin, have you talked about the lack of focus clutch on the 70 f1.8? No, I did not, because I never use the focus clutch. To me, it's just a nuisance. It always gets accidentally put down, and I find it very, very annoying. So I'd rather not have the focus clutch mechanism. Gregor says, my daughter is jumping from her smartphone to my old EPL 8. Yeah, that's the thing, right? You don't expect people to jump from smartphone to OM1 Mark II or Sony A9 Mark III, right? It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe you should start with something gentler, right? Yeah, coming back to Wolfie again. I don't use manual focus. Like, haven't you figured it out? No autofocus, no go for Robin. Asmina says, not Air, but rather small brick like Sigma FP. But even Sigma FP is quite a failure, don't you think? If it's successful, Sigma will have launched FP Mark II, FP Mark III, or something similar by now. The camera is what, 5 years, 6 years old already? When was Sigma FD launch? It was quite a failure, if you ask me. Sigma FP launch date. Which year was it? 2019. So it has been 6 years and no update. That tells you a lot about the state of the camera, right? So there you go. Sony has similar FX30. EP7 was already closed. Just make it more modular. Removable EVF. Now, the more things that move, the more things you need to remove and attach and to... no. The less it is to deal with, the better. Yeah, trust me on this. Copy BB says, have a good night and sweet dreams, Robin. Cheers. No worries. Thanks for being here. Perry Urban says, on the OM website, the 1245 f4 Pro is branded as Olympus. It's confusing. Yeah. Well, these days, everything is already OM system, right? So it's no surprise. So yeah, I've caught up with the comment. Time check is 10 minutes past midnight here in Malaysia. I think we will stop the stream here. There's 142 people watching still. Thank you so much for joining the stream and sharing your opinion. I really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed this live stream, this conversation. We have live streams every Thursday, same time, same place. And I hope you've enjoyed looking at my photographs that I shared on the fish lantern. I thought that was quite interesting. I thought I've never seen anything like that. That was my first time seeing a fish lantern parade, and I had an opportunity to shoot some photographs. Not my best work, but still, just want to show you guys what the fuss is all about. I thought it was quite fun. Yeah, if you've enjoyed looking at the photographs, if you've enjoyed the chat, please consider supporting me. You can join as a member, or you can buy me a cup of coffee, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal or buy from my affiliate links, Amazon and B&H. Everything is in the description below. Do consider supporting me. Any help or support is greatly appreciated. And yeah, it'll definitely encourage me to do more and share more with you guys. Until the next one, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.